Welcome into DC On Screen, episode 371. I'm your host, David C. Robertson. We are doing the DCEU news. It's the film news for the week. And Jason is ill, and we have a guest co-host for this episode, Matt Carroll of the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Hey, man, what's up? Thanks for having me on. I don't think I've been on your show. Have I been on your show?
You've absolutely been on our show.
I don't remember. I know
it was a long time ago.
I know we've done other podcasts together, but I don't remember being on the DC podcast before.
Yeah, because we had to share a Bluetooth headset.
Oh, that's right, at your house. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, like we had to stretch the
yeah
the earpieces.
We had to get a little cuddly. It was a little weird. I was just talking to my girlfriend. I had to leave her to come podcast, and she said, something like, but why can't you stay here and give me all the cuddles? And I was like, I've got to go help Dave out. And she's like, but I want his share too. And I was like, I doubt I'll be giving him any cuddles.
Yeah, that's weird.
But that one time we podcasted together, we were kind of close to it.
Right.
I think she meant his share of time, but it definitely came out wrong.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, not that I wouldn't cuddle with a man.
Sure.
I'm pretty secure in my sexuality. Like I like women.
Yeah.
And nothing more.
If I needed
if
I needed it for heat or something, I no shame.
Right. You know the Norm Macdonald joke where he's talking about homophobia. He's like, yeah, homophobia is like, they say that's what you have when you're afraid, when you think that you're afraid that you might be gay, or you're afraid of gays. And he was like, which worries me because I'm afraid of dogs.
Oh man, I had a dog rush out of my house this week and attack a delivery person. It didn't actually attack them, but apparently the delivery person was so scared of dogs, it ran up to try to show love, try to just get attention from the person. Started jumping at it and stuff, but the dog was really really poorly behaved, and the delivery person just ran down the street running from the dog. It was like, "Get your dog! Get your dog!" I was like, if you stop running, the dog will stop chasing you. It's not trying to bite you or anything. It thinks you're playing with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So DC, eh?
Absolutely. Oh, this is I don't know, a sixth of the amount of time that we usually BS before we get to a show.
Oh, I know. I didn't feel like I was being interesting. If I felt like I was sounded funny or clever, I'd be like, let's BS a while longer.
Not believing yourself to be interesting never stopped me or Jason. All right, so we'll go ahead and jump on into the news. There's a lot of Wonder Woman news.
Well, that's coming out soon, man.
It is, and there's been a lot of hubbub on the interwebs.
Oh, yeah? I know nothing of the hubbub.
The hubbub on the interwebs is that WB is skipping out on Wonder Woman's marketing.
Interesting.
Now, one of the arguments for this is that the WB YouTube page lists 30 videos for Suicide Squad, 7 videos for Justice League, which comes out in November, and Wonder Woman only has 5. But here's why they're not. And this is going to get pretty thick here, and I don't even understand all of it because I'm not very smart.
All right.
But first of all, the real marketing usually doesn't even happen until about a month before the film comes out. We're about 5 weeks out right now.
Right.
And already they've started pushing out a bunch of new stuff in the last couple of days. But I'm guessing the real push isn't going to happen until after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is actually released. That's what
I was going to say, is that they're probably waiting to, they're letting Guardians have the spotlight, and then they're going to hit it hard once they got free that we're the next comic book movie out. Start thinking about us.
Right? And a bunch of the people complaining about this are complaining that they haven't revealed Ares, God of War, yet. He's the main villain. Why isn't he showing up in the trailers? Because you're the same assholes who whined about Doomsday coming out in the second trailer for BVS. It's too spoilery.
Yeah, well, it's maybe it's different assholes. No. We could give them the asshole benefit of the doubt and say that maybe they're different assholes. Because I like, might be. Me personally, I'm in the stop revealing Doomsday camp. But that's me. Yeah. I hate spoilers. I would much rather, hey, that movie looks badass. I'm gonna go see it. And then what I like is when a movie promotes the movie with almost no detail at all, just like cool images, and then once it comes out, like a week later, they release like a trailer that has a bit of the plot in it. And that's my favorite kind of marketing, because it's like someone who's gonna go see it and who cares to see it without spoilers can, and then after they've had their chance, they start putting out these like, it's the #1 movie in America trailers. And then they have like little, whatever.
Yeah. Now, the other thing though is I think like they haven't released full frontal pictures of Ares is because I think.
Whoa, there's full frontal in this movie? My interest is piqued all the more. I wasn't really hoping for Ares, but maybe it'll lead to other things.
No, I think Ares is someone that is going to be. I think the Ares is going to be a plot twist in the movie. I think his identity is going to be a plot twist.
You think
who it is.
You think it's a Mandarin situation?
Yeah, something of a Mandarin situation.
We've got a code Mandarin on our hands.
There. A fair amount of spoilage has been released, and I think we did cover it like in an after credits type of situation,
right?
At some point,
so go back and listen to those, but I won't because I don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah,
Jeff's always wanted to talk about the spoil on our. By the way, I'm from the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. You guys should go listen to that. But I'm from that cast.
I totally name checked that. I totally name checked that when I introduced.
I didn't hear. The over on the Marvel Cinematic Cast, we like Jeff always wants to talk about the spoilery things, and always wants to. Can we do like an after the credits, or can we do a special spoiler episode? And I'm like, you can. Like I don't want to be the spoiled one. I just want to go on blissfully ignorant.
And a fair amount of the time, if and it doesn't happen that often, but when I sink my teeth into something juicy and spoilery. A lot of times I'll just say it after the credits, after Jason and I have gotten off the phone.
Oh, nice. That's fun.
Yeah, because Jason doesn't want to know anything.
Yeah, I don't like knowing anything. One of the things that Marvel does that really bothers me is they start releasing full scenes a couple of weeks before the movie's released. I think DC does it too. Like they just start releasing like, hey, here's a little bit of a clip from the movie. And I'm just, and that just makes me, it really takes me out of it, because when I go see the movie, we get to that scene and I just check out. I'm like, oh, I've seen this. And like my brain shuts off. It happened in Guardians last year. It happened in Civil War a couple of times. Like I really, Age of Ultron was probably the worst offender. I saw multiple scenes of Age of Ultron. So I just stopped. Once it gets a couple weeks out from the movie, I just stop paying attention to the hype, which is bad for a guy who does the podcast, because I just, Jeff always is like, hey, did you see this scene? I'm like, nope, I did not see the scene.
Yeah. We stopped doing that pretty early on. We stopped covering those scenes.
Yeah, it's real bad. It just revealed too much.
Yeah.
And if you're smart,
we didn't even watch them in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and if you're a smart moviegoer, you can really like start piecing those scenes together, and then it's a real problem.
I'm piecing stuff together in the second trailer.
Right. Me too. But like, if you get full scenes, you really start to like, oh, now I really get a sense of they're moving to this place, and instead, it's just becomes such an easy puzzle to put together. It's too easy.
Of course, one of the funny things is, even we were to some degree, we're like, oh yeah, WB learned from BVS, and because of the backlash from the Doomsday trailer, they're not even showing who the big bad guy is of Suicide Squad. And then, like, now in retrospect, I'm like, nah, they just knew that no one would know who it was.
No one would know who the Ares was, or no one would know who Doomsday was?
No, in Suicide Squad, no one would know who,
the big bad. Yeah,
Enchantress's brother was, you know?
Right. Or I do think that they
Incubus.
they obviously didn't show Enchantress on the evil side either. So like they did avoid that spoiler, which I was surprised by. I didn't know that she was going to flip on us.
Oh, I assumed. I assumed. But for whatever reason, I didn't guess Incubus either. Even though I've read the books, and I was like, oh yeah, there's Incubus and there's Enchantress. Yeah, right. It didn't like. I was like, what? Like no part of my brain thought they're gonna bring in that guy.
Yeah.
Nope.
So often when you think about the comics, because we're in such a strange place for comic book movies where they're slowly starting to trust the source material more and more.
Yeah, and that's still throwing me for a loop. I'm not used to that.
You're like, oh, there's no way they're going to put that in a movie because 20 years ago they were like yellow spandex. Wouldn't that be worse? Like, no, it wouldn't. We would really all prefer if you just went ahead and did Wolverine right, you know? But I think such a slow.
To be fair, I think there is plenty of source material that shows Wolverine in a leather jacket and a wife beater, and I'm just good with that. I really don't want to see that yellow spandex. Sure.
I mostly kid. Like, I think that, like, but I do think, you know, they're doing it more and more. They're doing more of these costumes similar to the original, and they're finding ways to do them that are less cheesy. Like, a character like Vision, for instance, you can make it look just like the source material, and it's really cool. But when it comes to DC, we've got like Wonder Woman. They kind of gave her the Captain America treatment, where they kind of softened the colors a little bit and made it look a little more of the era or whatever.
Yeah, I think they've actually they've gone the opposite way with Wonder Woman. They've actually brightened her colors a lot.
Oh, really?
Like, one of the cool things is, like, when you look at the Wonder Woman trailers, like, her outfit is pretty bright. But then when you look at her in Batman v Superman, it just looks like it's been, like, dulled and beaten up over time.
Interesting. I still feel like watching those trailers that she's... And maybe it's just that color palette that the filming uses, I guess. That Snyderification of all the film. It still looks pretty monochromatic to me, but, you know...
Well, see, I feel like the scene around her looks monochromatic because she's, like, walking into no man's land.
Right. I'm looking at it right now, and she definitely has some red and blue and gold.
Yeah, but she's, like, this shining beacon of hope. Or maybe that's just me going, she's so pretty, and I have blinders on for everything. I don't know. And she's such a badass. Like, she looks like she's Wonder Woman. I'm very pleased with her.
Yeah, me too so far. I've yet to see Gal Gadot really act. And so, like, I feel like the little bit we saw in BVS, she was pretty much just being a silent badass, with a couple, obviously she had a couple of lines, but, I'm ready to see, I'm interested to see how she is as an actress.
Yeah.
She can really carry the movie. And I think, they gave her Chris Pine in there as like a good crutch to lean on, but I think, it's almost like giving, I keep comparing it to Marvel because that's where I'm coming from, but it's almost like Chris Hemsworth. He was kind of a oafy Thor, but you had Natalie Portman in there kind of grounding him a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Like, just so we're clear, you're not using crutch as like a negative slamming DC way, right?
No. I only slamming the possibility that I don't know about Gal Gadot's acting. Like they're giving her a support system, a supporting actor, as it were.
Right.
That's just another word. I say crutch, and yeah, that sounds like a negative connotation. I just mean a supporting actor. I'm not afraid to slam DC. Oh, I'll do it right here on this cast too. But
I mean, we do too when it's warranted. I think one need only go to our review episodes to see that in action.
Yeah, yeah. You guys give them hell sometimes. Me and you differ on some of the movies and stuff, but that's fine.
We do. We do. So now, jumping back though to this claim that they haven't marketed this film as much as others.
Right.
There's this new report by Vanity Fair that completely contradicts that. In fact, they actually looked into the numbers because of all these complaints. And at 5 weeks until the film hits theaters, Warner Brothers has spent $3,043,212 on ads for Wonder Woman. which is a lot more than the 2,645,643 that they spent on Suicide Squad at the same time in the cycle at 5 weeks.
Gotcha.
So they're obviously spending more on Wonder Woman, and of course they released 6 new stills just this week with Diana shopping with Etta Candy, the great Lucy Davis, and Diana in that freaking banging blue dress. And a few shots of her team of soldiers there, and they put out new TV spots. I sent you some of these TV spots, a couple of these TV spots.
Oh yeah, I watched them.
They're really good, right?
Yeah, they look great, man. I think the Wonder Woman trailers have looked awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But so have most of the trailers for the DCEU, and I haven't been terribly impressed with the movies. I'm really hopeful, though.
Right.
This one looks great. It really does. I mean, the fight,
Yeah.
the action sequences look amazing, and the Chris Pine has great comic timing, and all that has looked really flawless so far. So I have high hopes, and I'm hoping for a good movie here.
I do recommend. You still haven't sat down and watched that Ultimate Edition of BVS, have you?
I have not.
Ultimate Edition is totally worth it on BVS. Extended Edition on Suicide Squad doesn't really add anything much to my. I mean, yeah, it's got a little bit more Joker, but that's about all I can say about it.
Yeah,
it doesn't really make it a better movie.
Have we talked about the Joker at all?
I don't know if you and I have.
I really thought the Joker.
Where I stand is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where I stand is basically I would be okay if we never saw this Joker again.
Right. So,
and I'd be okay if we saw more of him.
Yeah.
But I would really hope... Yeah, I'd really hope that they would go with the Grant Morrison super sanity idea, where like he just has a different personality sometimes. He just changes personalities at will.
Right.
So we never have to see that version of Joker again. Even if Jared Leto does it.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't ever want to see... Well, I don't really care.
I felt like he was straight up Jim Carrey, like the whole time. I
didn't feel like that. I felt
really
like there were a couple of bits where he seemed very Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And then there were, I mean, I don't think when he was like growling like a cat or something, he didn't seem like Jim Carrey. He didn't always seem like that. He was just real weird. A lot of them, he reminded me of, James Franco in Spring Breakers.
Yeah, that too. I mean, he definitely had the look of James Franco in Spring Breakers.
Yeah.
But I thought that, like
weird.
his voice and the way I don't know Jared Leto's work that much. I've seen his other movies, but I just don't have a good strong sense of who he is. But everything, I just kept thinking that could absolutely be Jim Carrey 15 years ago. Like this part could be played by. And I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah. Now, this is going back to the Together TV spot for Wonder Woman, though, because that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about Jared Leto. Yeah, I really don't know what to say about Jared Leto. I'm just there. I don't know what to say about that. It was weird.
Still, the jury's kind of still out. Like we still haven't seen a movie that has focused on him, so we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. What I loved about the first TV spot, the Together TV spot, I even though it was kind of tropey, I love that she was like about to introduce herself as like Diana, Princess of Themyscira, and like Chris Pine just cut her off and was like Diana Prince.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of when I said Chris Pine has good comic timing.
Mm-hmm. And it's so far this what I'm enjoying about the humor aspects of Wonder Woman is that it's decidedly not Deadpool or Suicide Squad-esque type of humor.
Yeah, that's true.
It's more of a character-based humor. Like, I don't know. So it's hard to describe because absolutely Suicide Squad's humor was character-based humor, but they're just not such quirky and
I'm thinking about Suicide Squad and I really don't remember
weird characters.
I really don't remember there being real humor in Suicide Squad.
I kind of feel like Captain Boomerang and Harley were really funny. Will Smith. Will Smith's character was funny. Deadshot was funny.
Okay. I have to rewatch it. I've only seen that once, so I really just don't.
Yeah.
I remember, obviously Harley Quinn tries to be funny a lot, but she just never landed one for me. Mm-hmm. She didn't land the humor for me. Oh gosh. It was in the trailers too, and it really turned me off. The line where she like breaks the window and says, "What? We're bad guys. It's what we do." Yeah. I was like, oh, that hurts. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It hurt me. It hurt me, Dave. It was like a bad impression of Harley Quinn. I don't know. It's like, yeah, that seems like something the cartoon Harley Quinn would say, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's all I really saw about that line. Like, part of me feels like all of this is stupid. And then part of me, like, nah, you gotta embrace it. It's the comic book universe. You can't, like, I can't, like, doing that and saying, like, oh, well, we need to take the characters and boil them down to a realistic thing. That's what you get when you get Christopher Nolan stuff. And you know how I feel about that. Where it's just like, you've taken all the fun.
Yeah.
You've taken all the fun out of this thing.
That's how I feel about it. I like some of, and you know, I know, I'm sure y'all have covered, I mean, I've listened to most of what y'all have covered on all this stuff, but, the Nolan movies have amazing parts to them, but you're exactly right. They're no fun. They're no fun whatsoever. And I just really, just do not like that.
Well, the most fun is The Dark Knight, and, you know, we still stand by that The Dark Knight might be the best Batman movie ever made. Dark Knight Rises is probably the worst Batman movie ever made.
Yeah.
And I understand that there's Batman and Robin out there, and that's what a lot of listeners don't understand, and they've written in, been like, how can you say Batman and Robin is a better film than Batman? No. I'm saying it's a better Batman film than The Dark Knight Rises. Mm-hmm. Because in The Dark Knight Rises, he doesn't even want to be Batman. At least he wants to be Batman and Robin.
Yeah. And I think it, as much as you may hate Batman and Robin, and I do.
I kind of do.
I hate it so much.
It's terrible.
But
it's terrible.
It sort of succeeds at what it's trying for. It returns Batman to, like, the 60s almost. It's trying for, like, that campy, super silly Batman in a lot of ways. And at least, like, The Dark Knight Rises does not... It's still trying to be in that grounded universe that Nolan set up in the first two, and it just does not succeed at all.
Well, here's the problem. Like, Batman and Robin, if you go back and you look at, like, you hear stories from the production, you have Joel Schumacher, who would apparently go around before every take and say, remember, people, this is a cartoon.
Right.
But, you know, in recent years, it's become more clear that he was saying that sarcastically because he had all of these pressures on him from the studio to make a funny, lighthearted movie that was going to sell toys. They had the toys made before they had the costumes made for the actors.
Right.
So I think Joel Schumacher, who actually basically could just come in and direct an episode of Gotham and we wouldn't notice a difference. I think he could have made a good Batman movie. And he almost did with Batman Forever. But the problem with Dark Knight Rises
just gotta defend Gotham. Gotham's one of my favorite comic book series on TV right now. Coming from the Marvel side, I still like Gotham's like up there tied for like number one for me. I love Gotham.
Yeah, we go back and forth. We enjoy Gotham most of the time. We go back and forth on it from episode to episode, as you might imagine.
For me, it's a good accomplishment of like kind of combining the sort of over the top silliness of the 60s with the grittiness of what we think of, you know, today as kind of being Batman, I guess. Like the animated series.
A good idea of what I think Joel Schumacher could accomplish, and I didn't mean that as a slam. I meant that as in the opposite direction. I meant that to be a compliment. I think if Joel Schumacher did a Batman movie, he could do a Batman movie that was interesting. I mean, if you look at Jim Carrey's The Number 23, that was directed by Joel Schumacher, and he goes into there are these little vignettes where he's in this very gritty film noir
thing,
type of reality with like, you know, bright neon red lights coming in through the blinds and very dark, very brutal, but also kind of hammy and very comic booky, very Sin City. And I think Schumacher could have, and he almost brought that to the table with Forever, but again, studio interference. They were afraid because of all of the complaints and issues they had with Batman Returns being too dark. And I mean, you got, you know, a disgusting looking penguin biting a dude's nose and weird sexual innuendo.
Yeah, I feel like the penguin is like sort of responsible for the downfall of the Batman series. As
a little bit.
And I don't mind that penguin performance, but I don't think the world was ready for it.
I don't Well, that penguin had no precedent whatsoever, not in the comics.
No, I understand that. I totally understand
nowhere.
that. But it's that weird Tim Burton disgusting sort of thing, and I don't mind it.
Right.
I really don't. It was an interesting take. And it's like, even like looking back on it, I still like kind of feel for him at the same time. Like, it's an interesting character, but it really is like, it probably is what turned everyone off of the entire thing. Like, Catwoman was delightful in those movies.
Except for her origin.
Sure. It was darn stupid, but like, made me want to jump out a window into a bunch of alley cats.
No, that's weird. What was that awful quote? Now, do you talk about cringeworthy quotes from villains? Catwoman in Batman Returns has this quote: "Life's a bitch, and now so am I."
Yeah, it was like it is real bad. It is real bad. I totally agree. But I feel like, yeah, maybe I just liked it because it was Michelle Pfeiffer. Maybe I had the same problem you're having with Gal Gadot now.
Yeah, like a 20-second scene of her flipping out of a store that she has clearly been inside of after hours. Security guards don't even know what to do with her. And she stops and looks and goes, meow. And there's a big explosion. It's just dumb. Like, Tim Burton almost, like, everyone, like, talks about how dark that movie was, but I feel like he definitely did set it on the path to campiness again.
Sure,
like, it was just...
Oh, it's pretty over the top and campy for sure. There's I mean, the whole conceit of the thing, like the big, I don't even remember the full plot, but I remember like the big bad plot hinges on penguins with rockets on their back, right? Or bombs or something.
That was a weird thing that happened in the movie, but it wasn't the point. It was like...
I thought that was like one of the big last things that he's trying to do, and Batman has to stop.
Yeah, well, that's like his like last-ditch effort, because he had like Christopher Walken's Max Schreck was like a big businessman that was helping Penguin run for mayor, because he was going to be like pulling the strings and whatnot. It was just ridiculous. Anyway, back to Wonder Woman. For the love of God.
I don't get to talk about this DC shit much, man. I'm down. I'm ready to... I want to talk about it all.
So there is a glimpse that we get in the Power TV spot of Ares hitting Diana. Like, with sword, you get a glimpse of his hand, his like arm, and his sword, and his like horn, and he's like hitting Diana, and she like fends him off with her gauntlets there. And that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I dug that.
Yeah, man. All the action just looks amazing.
So I'm going to try to wade through this thing. And, all
right.
Because it's interesting, but I don't fully understand it. Not completely, because I don't have access to it, and also I'm not very smart. Time Warner's chief marketing officer, Kristen O'Hara, was at Oracle's Modern Marketing Experience 2017 in Las Vegas earlier this week. And she was talking about the marketing for Wonder Woman. And as the article says, she explained that while the public may see movie marketing as ads, trailers, or promotional partnerships, the new goal is to build momentum ahead of time, instead of, for lack of a better term, simply swamping the marketplace prior to release. And that's something they learned from CW's Supergirl, and something they utilized to measure the fan base. And then they did the same thing for Wonder Woman, and are still doing that. And the reason that they changed specifically from the launch of Batman v Superman, she says, the data collection surrounding that film marked another experiment as far as the marketing went. She said it shifted so much of how we go to market. She says, I think in a data-driven world, the heroic marketing moments aren't those big, huge moments. They're an aggregate of tiny little moments that happen over a long period of time that help us get smarter and smarter about our customers and their behavior, that help us create better experiences for them. So in the case of Wonder Woman, this is a release that we started talking about 2 years ago. And when we started on the path, franchise management was going to be better. It was going to be something we looked really closely at. how data could be used better and could help us do better. So the collection of data across the entire DC franchise, whether it was video games, comic book releases, TV shows, or theatrical releases, all of which we have an aggressive slate, every moment mattered to us. Batman v Superman was the first release where we had a strategy to collect data from the first trailer drop, not just for that movie, but across all DC franchises. Every single campaign from then till March of last year needed to be a data collection opportunity. We used a data-driven approach for that movie, and since then the organization thinks very differently and is going to market very differently today. 6 months after BVS came Suicide Squad. It was one of the first movies where we stopped spending before release because the segmentation and targeting was so effective we were hitting our numbers pre-release, which basically means they want to spend less, they think they can spend less money.
Right.
And actually drag it out to hit its release date, as opposed to like hitting it pre-release.
Right. Spend the money and, like spend it smarter instead of spending more, which is, totally makes sense. The only thing that I would say about all this data-driven, marketing, that's fine for marketing. But when you think about it, some of these, in some ways, these movies are all about marketing to these companies.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just focus on the data of everything, it's like you're just always following the data and not following the artistic choices that you could give to your artists that are making the movies. And I'm not, and this is not in the comments she said. They're talking about marketing, and I'm completely on board with all that. But I just fear, because of the way I've seen DC seemingly reacting to things, they seem to react so much to the way the fans feel. And instead of giving a director that has a vision a thing and letting them do their thing, there's a lot of reports of what happened on Suicide Squad being a lot of meddling by the corporation, which maybe for good, who knows? Maybe the original cut was horrible and they meddled and made it better, but it just seemed like a little jumbled, and it seems like that maybe there was an original vision that maybe if you just let a director make a movie. And so that's my big thing with DC right now. And them being so data focused makes me fear that they're going to be like, oh, here's this piece of data meets this piece of data means we need to make this movie and we need to make it this way. And you know what I mean? Like I fear that world where you're not letting artists be artists,
Well, I think what they're talking about here is slowly marketing something, showing more behind the scenes type of things, doing more, and they have been, because we've been covering it. They've been doing a lot of honestly pretty free type of marketing, like 2 years out, they've been, here's a little glimpse of behind the scenes, and just moving away from traditional marketing techniques where you, as she put it, heroic marketing moments, using those like big like Super Bowl ads or something to be like, boom, drop the mic, here we are.
Well, when she said when she said that about the heroic marketing moments, I just want to be like, tell that to Deadpool. Deadpool's marketing was all about heroic marketing moments, and I don't mean spending money. I just mean she's talking about like brand awareness and just making people realize it's coming and making it feel like this bigger and bigger deal. But like, you look at a movie like Deadpool, which is one of the biggest success stories in marketing lately, and it can't be replicated with everything. I realize that, but it's the way that Deadpool
is an example of what she's talking about working. Because even before Deadpool was even a thing, it was being marketed by the people who wanted to make it, who were like putting out the test footage.
Absolutely.
And just go, even from, X-Men Origins Wolverine, when Deadpool was done so poorly, just the fact that he was done so poorly and everyone loved Ryan Reynolds and the idea of him playing him, even that was, like, Deadpool's a completely different type of situation for the most part. Like that, but it actually does prove the point. Like, that was long-term marketing without it even being on purpose.
Well, it's long-term marketing. It's long-term marketing. I don't agree that it's quite a stretch to say that that X-Men Origins Wolverine was part of the marketing. That's a stretch. I will say that that movie's a different case. I completely agree, because them releasing.
I'm saying it was unintentional. It was unintentional. They intended for it to be really cool.
Well, no, I agree.
And then like
all of that may have been
fans.
some of that may have been unintentional, but the marketing part of the movie was not unintentional. The actual marketing of the movie, where Ryan Reynolds did these big comedic videos to go on the internet and stuff, that stuff was straight up marketing, and those were heroic marketing moments. They weren't like data-driven, 360-degree synergy planned, blah, blah, blah. It was like, hey, look how good this movie's going to be. We're going to make you... It was almost like the freemium model, where they gave you a little bit of free goodness, just to be like, look how good this is to see Deadpool, interviewing Hugh Jackman or whatever.
But to believe that wasn't data-driven, because it totally was. Like, they had, several years of data that was telling them people want this R-rated movie. They still didn't believe it. They had to keep looking over the numbers.
Sure.
Just from the test footage and seeing the fan reactions online to a possibility of a Deadpool movie with Ryan Reynolds. And then you actually had Ryan Reynolds before anything was greenlit at all, championing this thing.
Oh yeah.
I think all of that poured into Fox looking at the data and going, we definitely have to do this, and allowing them to go full out with internet videos and the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I disagree that it's all data driven. I think that I'm not saying there's no data involved. Obviously, they see the response from the fans, but when you've got you had artists, both the director and Ryan Reynolds were so passionate about the project, and they marketed it in a way that they saw the vision for the project, and the marketing was exactly what the movie was. It was this meta interpretation of Deadpool that obviously he is meta to begin with, but it was just fully realized in the marketing was the movie, and they were selling the movie by actually showing you a piece of the art instead of being like, okay, we need to show more of the comedic side of this movie because it's, the marketing is showing that this is looking too dour, or the data is showing it just seemed like it sprung forth from an honest place. An honest artistic place where they had a vision and a passion for the kind of movie they wanted to make, and the marketing was just an extension of that. That's what I'm getting at. Right. Where I think there is a distinct difference between the way this lady's talking and what Deadpool was. Not to say they didn't gauge reaction of fans, but it's not data driven. It's art driven. It's passion driven. I think that's important.
Yeah, it is important. I mean, she didn't bring up Deadpool, though, importantly. You did. So.
No. I agree. And I was saying that Deadpool is a reaction to her argument that is kind of is saying something different than her argument is saying. Was my point.
I don't know. I think Deadpool's existence as an R-rated movie in the comic book movie canon is way more data-driven than you might want to believe. But at the same time,
I totally disagree with that. If they were looking at data, they never would have made a rated R movie, because no rated R comic book movie existed. There was no data. Sure, they had fan reaction online. Sure. Everyone saw the test footage and loved it. Every comic book movie before this point had been data driven and said, no, we better make it PG-13 so the kids can go.
Yeah.
And this movie said, fuck that. And yes, they said fuck because they could, because it was rated R. They said they could say it more than 3 times. But
we're talking about a movie that was probably a fourth of what something like Wonder Woman or Batman v Superman cost. They were looking at the numbers. They spent nothing to make Deadpool.
I totally agree. And they made a smaller bet because they were like, this is not guaranteed to work because it's this weird passion project that we don't understand because the data is not supporting that this is going to make a lot of money, but because it's never been done before and we're going to allow it to be done. Anyway, I think we're talking about we're talking across each other because I don't think we're going to agree whether it's data driven or not. Because data driven, what you're saying is any kind of response to the what the audience wants is data driven, and that's not what I'm saying.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. If they responded completely to what anybody wanted, I mean, Zack Snyder wouldn't be directing Justice League right now.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
because so many I think Justice League looks amazing. Like, I think Batman v Superman was a legitimate Empire Strikes Back moment in a trilogy of movies. That being the trilogy of Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League. DC Comics are darker, generally.
Oh, stop pandering. Stop pandering to the...
I'm not pandering. I'm not pandering.
I just don't like... I don't love Star Wars, and I don't think you're a huge Star Wars guy either.
I'm not, but it's the precedent that's set.
Yeah.
They started the precedent.
But that's the thing. It wasn't, though. And we could get into this all day long, but it wasn't. It wasn't even a good Empire Strikes Back moment. Because it wasn't like Han is frozen in carbonite and then you see, and you see like him hit the dust on the carbonite start to move because the force is awakening within him. You know? Like, they let him be frozen in carbonite. They let Luke get his hand cut off, and he's looking at his hand like, oh shit, I'm becoming my evil father. Like, that's a great moment. Those are, as little as I like, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but those two moments are great.
Me either.
Those two moments are wonderful, but they didn't have the balls to do that. They didn't like really, and even in the marketing, they're already just really, it's really clear he's coming back. And anyone who knows the comic books, obviously he's coming back. We all know. But for like a general audience, they could have let him die. They could have let the character actually feel dead. But it would have, I could rant all day about that movie. Sorry.
I mean, it's all subjective, man. It's okay. We can have a difference of opinion.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just trying not to be.
I mean, and you know, I have my issues with Man of Steel. I feel like that should have been brighter than it was. Of course, the more I go back and watch Man of Steel, the more I like it. So I don't know what to tell you about that. I still don't like David Goyer or his dialogue. I still don't think. Is David
Goyer still involved with
these most recent ones? With the Green Lantern project right now. For some reason, he's involved with the Green Lantern Corps movies.
Okay.
He's not involved with Justice League, as far as I know.
Gotcha. Maybe was he involved with BVS?
He was. He wrote an initial draft, and then, which is funny because some years prior he said Batman v Superman is where you is the concept you turn to when you admit to yourself that you've run out of all other ideas.
Right.
Which is my biggest problem with David Goyer is that he's like a fake fanboy. It's like he knows the material, but he's pissed off about it. Like he's ashamed of it somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked BVS. I like the theatrical cut. I like the Ultimate Edition way more than theatrical cut. But I mean, you know, it's not what I like. I've had to come to terms with the fact that none of this stuff is what I would do. Period. Like, no one's gonna make the movie I would do. Sure. See, and that's not what I'm mad about though. Like I'm fine with. I want them to make movies I wouldn't make. I want them to like go so far outside the box and think of things that I would never think of. But what I do want is characters that I care about, and that's my problem with the DCEU. I don't care about any of the characters yet, and I hate that because we're how many 4 movies in now? Is that right? Is it 3? I don't know,
or is it 3?
I mean, we're like 22 movies into the Marvel movies, and I don't really care about most of those characters.
I care about every one of them.
I enjoy them, but I'm not like, I like Tony.
I love Tony. I love every moment I spend with Tony, and every moment I spend with Captain America. I still think of him as like that kid in the alley that's like. When he was in this fight with Tony in Civil War, and he says, I could do this all day, and it's a callback to that alley fight in the very first one where he's like still a scrawny kid, and he says, I can do this all day. That shit is golden. Like, that is amazing character tying together shit. And like, I care so much in that moment.
There are tons of those moments in BVS to Man of Steel. There are moments in Suicide Squad linking back, but if I brought all that stuff up, you would be like, "Oh, they're just pandering."
Oh no, I would not. No, I would not. I rarely say people are pandering. I said you were pandering because I don't think you like Star Wars that much, and you were like, "It was an Empire Strikes Back moment," and I was like, "Oh, don't try to get everyone on your side with using Star Wars." Oh,
hey, I don't have to try to get everyone on my side. This is my show.
Oh, I know. You get I'm in the I'm in behind enemy lines. Everyone.
But no, I've said repeatedly, I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but Star Wars and the Star Wars trilogy did set that precedent where you have, a hopeful, happy ending first act. You have the second movie,
The dour ending
which is,
ends
ends on
second.
a real down note.
Yeah.
And then, you have the third one, which is, inevitably not as good, but leaves people somewhat happy.
Are you saying that's going to be Justice League?
I don't know. Probably. I liked Jedi better than any of them, though.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Except I really liked Episode 7 a lot. I liked Episode 7 a whole lot.
I liked Episode 7. I made the mistake of rewatching Episode 4 the day I went to see Episode 7.
Too similar.
They're the same plot, it's
Yeah.
obviously what he was doing. It's obviously what JJ was like. Let me see if I can pay homage so closely to what started the franchise that I can restart the franchise. And he did it. He did it successfully, but I was like, I watched A New Hope that morning, and then I went to see it and I was like, wow. Like, it just felt like, okay, paint by numbers. Like, so I'm
watching Force Awakens for me, I finally understood what non-Star Trek fans were feeling when they saw 09 Star Trek. Because they were just like, oh, well, this is pretty interesting. This is fun.
Right.
But with having no give a shit for all the others.
By the way, I just hate J.J. Abrams so much. Let me just express that on another podcast, because he is the destroyer of worlds.
Okay.
I've realized how angry I am at him. I put up with it in 2009 when he destroyed the Star Trek canon, because I was like, I can't do anything about it. It's probable we're never going to get any more.
Destroy it.
Well, yeah, he did. He fucking did.
No, he did.
I know. I realize time travel,
it's an alternate universe.
All that's fine, but he still made it so that we're getting new Star Trek and these new blockbuster Star Trek movies that are, blockbusters, but they're not in my canon. They don't have anything to do with what I grew up on, and they're also like rehashing stories that I grew up on in weird ways.
Wait. Now, did you see Star Trek Beyond?
Yes, and it was great.
It made me cry.
It's my favorite of the three, for sure.
Yeah.
It felt like the most,
Yeah, sure.
It felt the most like Star Trek. It still was a little dumb in places, but it felt the most Star Trek to me. And I'm happy that they're back to, it sucks that I have to be like, you know what? That actually seemed like a Star Trek movie, so I'll accept it. Like, I'll say good things about that one, because it at least felt like a Star Trek movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish
it's not
that was just a given, and that these new movies were in the same canon. We could move forward into the future. I want to know what the 29th century is really like.
Yeah.
Well,
look, to be completely fair, Star Trek Voyager feels way too much like a certain type of Star Trek. And then again, not like Star Trek at all. It's so dull.
Oh, Star Trek Voyager is the
Prime
worst.
Universe. Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, you know my feelings on Voyager. Oh,
I know.
Oh, it's the
That's
worst.
why I'm using it against you.
I will.
I'm just saying.
I will rant all day.
I'm just saying, there's plenty in the Prime Universe that isn't exactly perfect. That I would take Abrams' movies over some of that stuff any day.
Sure, I agree. Let me get to what I was saying though. What really pisses me off is that he did that to the Star Trek fans, and it was like, okay, he did that to the Star Trek fans. That's all of us who are deep Star Trek fans, who like not just watch the 6 movies or whatever, or 8, 9 movies. We were like the ones reading books and like watching every episode, and we were the real fans of Star Trek. He took all that and he's like, I'm going to take the thing you love and repackage it for the masses and kind of ignore everything you've cared about. None of that will matter for these future stories.
Have you ever read his treatment for his Superman trilogy?
No, but
It's awful.
Let me just say this.
It's so bad.
Let me just say this. Then he decided to do the same thing for Star Wars. They gave him Star Wars, and he was like, and maybe it wasn't just him. This is probably a bigger decision than just him. But he deleted all of the extended universe canon, and started it over. So all the people who weren't just Star Wars fans for those three or six movies, they were Star Trek fans for life who had read hundreds of books and watched he decided all of that wasn't canon, and now we're starting over with episode 7, and it's gonna, and we're gonna tell the same story. It just was such smacked of the same thing, and I just feel bad for all the Star Wars fans, even though I'm not one of them. Like,
okay,
I just feel me and Star Wars fans should unite and take down J.J. Abrams is all I'm saying.
Here's the thing, and I'm going to say this, and then we need to get back to DC News.
Yeah.
George Lucas destroyed that extended universe years before. He had different levels of
I know.
what he referred to as canon, and there was no way they were going to make episodes 7, 8, and 9 without destroying that canon. Those books were too thick. I own one of them, and I was like, no.
I get that. They could have, I don't know, they could have done something with it. But I digress. It's
not his fault.
It felt like
that's not his fault.
It felt like the same thing they did. I felt like exactly what you're saying is I feel like exactly what he would say about Star Trek. It's like, oh, there's too much stuff. We can't move forward. There's too much stuff to rely on. We need to restart. Well, and I don't agree with that.
Wait, no. If he had erased or in some way subverted the other films that came before it for Star Wars, I would say sure. But they went out of their way to make their Star Trek movies an alternate universe so that the Prime universe still existed. Honored the hell out of Nimoy, really did. And I didn't agree with a lot of the stuff they did in the new Star Trek movies. I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of it, but at the same time, it's not affecting my universe, and that's a great thing that they did. That's beautiful.
That
they went out of their way to protect.
They respected your universe in like name only, like in like, oh yeah, look, see, we didn't destroy it. You can still play in your own sandbox, and that's
right.
But I don't.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't agree.
It
may be the best thing they could do. It may be the best thing they could do. It may be that like there was no way to continue it on. But
okay,
anyway.
But at the same time, though, man, you have to look at all the times that some of my favorite Star Trek books were overwritten by canon that you and I loved. DS9 overwrote a lot of canon that I loved growing up because of novels. That's just the nature of the beast when you get to extended universe properties like that with comics and novels. So I'm not going to lay the blame on JJ for destroying, all the
Star Wars stuff. You don't agree with the Star?
Yeah, I mean,
I do.
And he respected the hell out of the Star Trek canon as far as not overriding the Prime universe, and that's all I can really ask. Whether I like the first two that much or not, but anyway. I mean, these are all fictional properties. Let's not, get too upset over it, but...
Oh, why are we here if we're not getting upset over it? We're here because we care, my friend.
I don't know, man.
We're here because we care.
I'm getting old and mellow, man. I don't know.
Not me.
So apparently Pinkberry has a Wonder Woman flavor out. I know this because Ray Fisher, the guy playing Cyborg, posted a picture, talking about marketing, by the way. There's a giant poster of Wonder Woman with some sort of ice cream. But he posts this picture of himself with this delicious looking thing at Pinkberry, this ice cream situation. And he writes, employee, hey, what can I get you? Ray, yeah, let me have the Themysciran special. Employee, huh? Ray, dejected, points to poster. That one, please.
So what's it?
I found that delightful.
What's in this ice? What's in this flavor?
I don't know. It looked like there were strawberries and stuff. They didn't say. I didn't look into it.
Oh, sorry. I just assumed it'd be on the article. My bad.
No, it wasn't. It was like an Instagram post, and also we don't have a Pinkberry anywhere around, so I mean, no reason to get my hopes up.
I thought there was one here in Birmingham. Is there not?
Is there? I don't remember.
I remember there was one because they were giving out samples at some park one day when I was there. I remember.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I don't. Maybe it wasn't successful or something.
But because I'm unaware of it, I'm sure that Scott of the Squadcast, of the Suicide Squadcast, will be like on Twitter tomorrow, being like, actually, there are 3 Pinkberry locations in Birmingham, Alabama.
Just
my kids and I My kids and I frequently every Sunday. I don't know. I'm just
Are
I'm
they
just
here
playing
in
with
Are
Scott.
they here in Birmingham?
I'm just kidding you, buddy. Tim is not. Scott is.
Oh, neat. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Scott's around.
Cool.
So there's a rumor about the Wonder Woman runtime, and I may have misplaced it somehow. I may
Is it that
that
it'll be a certain length and then they'll release it later in a longer length?
No, hopefully they won't do that.
I really hope not. I see. I'm generally on board with I'm on board with an extended edition if a movie is like a classic, you know, like, oh, we want to know more.
Yeah.
I would love to see more of that. But this whole we couldn't fit the whole story in theaters. But here's the little bits for those of you who care about continuity. Or
no, I think that. See, I think that was only with BVS. They didn't do it for Man of Steel. That happened in BVS because he wanted it to be 3 hours, and they wanted to fit in an extra showtime. And hopefully they've learned their lesson from that. But
I hope so.
It looks like the rumor is
they did it with
that
Suicide Squad
Wonder
too.
Woman, they did it with Suicide Squad, but only because people were so pissed that the fans were so pissed that there wasn't another Joker or more Joker in the movie.
I don't buy it.
They put out a little more Joker footage.
I don't really buy that. I think they probably. It seems just like that's after doing it two movies in a row. It just seems like they're doing it for money. Like, let's get more people.
They're absolutely doing it for money.
Let's get more people into the theaters.
Well, okay.
Let's get our theater numbers up.
Well, they didn't put it out in theaters.
Oh, I thought they did with BVS.
They did for like one night somewhere.
Oh, okay.
In some city. But like Suicide Squad, they didn't.
Okay.
In Suicide Squad, they just released, sort of like they've been doing for years, and like every movie studio has been doing, and that absolutely was for money. They were like, oh, well, we can get more money if we say that there's more Joker footage, which there was, and it was okay. But what I liked about that is they did it just enough that it didn't compromise the movie. It didn't make it worse, so I was good with it. But it didn't make it better though. But the rumor here is that Wonder Woman's going to come in at 2 hours and 21 minutes, which would make it the third longest DC release.
Right.
So yeah, that's still a rumor. Who knows?
Okay.
Not me. Recently, Patty Jenkins was talking to the Toronto Sun, and she says about Wonder Woman, obviously. She said, I always thought the origin story would be the great way to go. I love origin superhero stories, and I love the simplicity you can have with that journey. Also, there was the fact that no one had done her story, and the fact that I love her, so it was a treasure trove of potential. And then she went on to talk about the rest of the DC extended universe, mainly Aquaman, but it sounds really cool what she's saying. She says, I think there's a lot of directors doing cool things. I know the storylines for a lot of the films they are working on, and they are all vastly different with very different tones and very different styles of storytelling. She describes Aquaman as a, quote, cool story that's got its own separate vibe. She says, I'm excited to see each of these films. That makes me happy. I've been more enthusiastic about the Marvel movies since they started going that way. Like Thor Ragnarok looks freaking amazing.
Oh yeah.
And I love that tone. And I feel like that came from Guardians of the Galaxy and Deadpool to some degree being such
the lighter tone.
You can just
right. When we saw that trailer over on Marvel Cinematic Universe cast, when we were talking about the Thor Ragnarok trailer, we're like, oh look, they saw Guardians of the Galaxy as well. Like it really looks like just the color palette they're using is so Guardians that it's like, and even the text in the trailer, like the kind of like swooping 80s looking text that they're using, it's just like, man, they really went Guardians on this trailer.
With Thor Ragnarok, I didn't feel like they were going Guardians. I felt like they were going like 1980s heavy metal, like the old magazine heavy metal. Like they were going like old school. Like a lot of the graphics, as far as the text went, looked like it could have been the cover of an 80s metal band.
Well, I agree, but I think that's kind of how Guardians was too. And I
felt like Guardians went back to 70s, man. That was like 70s, like funkadelic stuff.
That's true. It's true. It was pretty psychedelic. I just felt like the color, just simply the color palette. And I think part of it is they're trying to, and they've been talking about a lot about this over there, trying to solidify what the Marvel cosmic universe is going to be. And I think, obviously in a way Thor started the cosmic universe, but now that Guardians has kind of established itself and done so much more traveling out in the cosmos, they're kind of like taking a page from Guardians and bringing in the color palette and some of the characters and things from those from the Guardian stuff. And I think it's exciting, really exciting.
Yeah, I'm down for them getting kind of wild and funky.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Guardians comes out in like 4 days, man. I'm so excited.
I am too.
Where are you going to see it? Where are you going to see it?
I don't know. I have no idea.
We're going Thursday night up here.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing that.
Come on, man.
It'll be later for me.
It'll be good.
It'll be later for me. We've had people asking us like, are you and Jason gonna do you guys gonna do a review for Guardians of the Galaxy 2 like you did for Logan, like post credits? I'm like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, man.
Which I don't know, man. Guardians are they're gonna have to try hard to beat Logan, man. Logan was phenomenal.
Logan was phenomenal.
I didn't know Fox had that in them.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. It was by far the best Fox. Well, I don't know. Deadpool's their last 2 entries have been really good. Well, Apocalypse was awful.
Yeah, Apocalypse was pretty bad.
real bad. But man, Deadpool and Logan were both just exquisite movies.
They were. And opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of just every conceivable point. Just completely different movies.
Oh yeah, you can't really compare the two. And it's like Deadpool is one of the best for what they were trying to do. They are both amazing. They're both really, really amazing at what they were trying to do. And I think, obviously I like the Marvel Cinematic Universe a lot. But they're generally not trying to do one thing with their movies. They're trying to make these sort of sweeping action, adventure, drama comedies. And almost every one of them falls in this like amorphous category. They're not trying to make a comedy or a drama. And like Fox decided, you know what? We're going to straight up make a rated R comedy. And you know what? We're going to straight up make a rated R drama. Like a real character piece. They went for it all in instead of trying to kind of please everything. Which I think Marvel does a great job at doing, but the Fox just decided to go a different way, and I really liked both of them a lot.
Yeah, it was inspiring, and I never saw it coming.
Yeah.
I just thought like Fox, like, oh man, you guys just gotta keep churning out crap until finally people stop watching. But no, they actually went and did something great.
Yep, they really did.
Things. Let's try to forget that Apocalypse was in the middle of that.
Yeah, Apocalypse was so bad, so bad.
It was so bad.
I don't like. I get into why things were bad. I really like to dig in. I don't even feel like it. It was so bad. I don't even want to talk about it. It's just so bad. Let's just agree how bad it was and move on.
Yeah. It was like, you know how I don't know if you've ever done this, you just see someone and you just like, you can't smell them, but you imagine they smell bad. And you just kind of have this like awful, like this little like, I smell poo face. That's the face I have when I think of X-Men Apocalypse.
I went to see some movie recently and I sat down and the guy next to me had like the strongest scent coming off of him. And he came in the theater after me, sat down like one seat over, and I mean the scent was so strong that I was like, it was like the strong musky sort of like spicy, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm not trying to be mean, but man, so I scooted over a chair. I didn't say anything. I just like, I'm gonna get a better seat. Scooted over a chair or two, and then a few minutes later, I realized what it was. He had some sort of food with him. But it was like Indian food. It was like really strong, scented, spicy. And like, he took it out in like a catering tin and started handing it out to his friends.
Oh no.
And like, once I knew it wasn't BO, I was like, okay, this is not the worst smell. It smelled so strong and spicy when he sat down next to me, and I couldn't see any food because he was like carrying it under a jacket, like smuggled it in. It was like on a date, him and his girlfriend were like splitting this big catering tray of food. It's good stuff.
I want to puke. I hate Indian food. That's not my deal.
I don't like Indian food either. Although I love Thai food. They both have lots of curry.
Yeah, I don't like curry.
I like Thai curry. Have you tried Thai curry?
No, but I've been adequately, I don't know, inundated with praise for it. So I'll get to it when I get to it.
You should try some Thai curry. Well, when you're up here in Birmingham, we'll go to Surin sometimes. Got some good stuff there.
I never want to go to Surin.
But it's so good.
Just out of principle.
We've got a real dangerous thing happening in Birmingham now. All these kind of like Uber type delivery services are popping up, like Uber Eats or whatever, where they'll basically deliver any food.
Shipped?
Yeah, that kind of thing. They'll just deliver any food in town. And so now, like on a lazy night when we're sitting here, like we don't want to go out, we can order like a really good meal from one of these like nice Thai places or whatever.
Yeah, I remember a few months ago, you and me and Alyssa went to whatever that place was, that Philly cheesesteak place, and you were like, "What? They deliver?" And Alyssa went, "Oh no."
Yeah, this is good. We were both like, "This is going to be a problem," and it has been.
You shouldn't sound so pleased with that, Matt. All right, we got to get back to this. We're not even through Wonder Woman news. Oh my gosh.
All right, good.
So Gal Gadot.
Fire him at me. Let's go.
Let's do this. Gal Gadot was pregnant during the Wonder Woman reshoots.
What?
Apparently they had yeah. Apparently they had to make a special costume for her. They like cut out this like part of their costume and put like green screen over it so that they could like change her baby bump there.
Oh, that's funny.
I hate that phrase, baby bump, but I don't know what else to call it. See, on close up, I looked very much like Wonder Woman, Gadot said. On wide shots, I looked very funny, like Wonder Woman pregnant with Kermit the Frog. Patty Jenkins said she's pregnant during part of the movie in a suit, out in the field in the freezing cold. In others, there are so many things we asked her to do. Now do it on one foot. Now shout while you're doing it. Now it's raining in the freezing cold and you've lost your voice. Go. Every day it was a hilarious gauntlet and she would do it. It just sounds like Patty Jenkins is kind of mean.
Yeah, something's just real rough on her, which I dig. I think, I do think that there might have been a little more like, I always talk about how everyone always thinks like, oh, you're going to do a black superhero? What black director are you going to get? Oh, you're going to do a woman superhero? What woman director are you going to get? Like I always feel like that's a little like, I mean, that's fine. I'm encouraging they should get black and female directors and all races and all sexes directors for everything.
Yeah, but for whatever.
But it doesn't necessitate that a woman is going to be the best to direct a woman. Right. But in this case, I will say
there's this weird like segregated mentality from a lot of people that like, oh, there should be a woman directing Batgirl. And I'm like, well, up until Joss made fun of the cancer patients, I was going to say, no, he's great for Batgirl. I think he still is, but I'm just like, why did he have to wait until he was a DC guy? To piss everybody off.
What did he do? I don't know about this. Hold on, real quick. I just wanted to say that about the story we're talking about, and then you got to tell me about this Joss Whedon thing, because I love that man, and I don't know what he's done to cancer patients. But I think it's funny that Patty Jenkins put Gal Gadot through all this stuff because I think a male director might have been a little softer on her. Maybe like there's, and this is a complete generalization, but sometimes there's a chivalry aspect that men might not want to force a woman to do. But I think a woman might see a woman as strong. That's a sexist thing. It's true, but it's sexist. And a woman might see, oh no, she can take this. Do it on one foot. Do it in the snow. Like maybe she pulled a little more out of Gal Gadot than a male would have. Maybe he would have been like, we'll green screen that in later.
Well, a male would have put a little more into her.
Oh.
Boom, boom. Shh.
Well, apparently one did.
Apparently he did, yeah.
There's a baby.
I'm going to be answering emails about that. So anyway, Patty Jenkins said, now at least we will be able to tell her daughter Maya that she's in her mom's stomach right then in the middle of that battle scene. And Chuck Roven, because he has to, threw in a couple of quotes. He said part of what we're doing was augmenting some of the final action piece. She couldn't do a huge amount of physical activity, but she was being aggressive. She still had to be fierce. That was special. I've been doing this for a while, but I've never had that experience before.
That's cool. I dig it. Scarlett Johansson was pregnant for a lot of, I think it was Civil War or Age of Ultron, one of those two.
Oh, okay.
So it's them ladies can get at it.
Yeah, that sounded weird.
Even when they're pregnant.
That's so weird.
There's some Yahoo. It's like Yahoo Answers. Some guy did a Yahoo Answers thing where he just looked up a bunch of Yahoo Answers questions and did a YouTube video, and it was just a bunch of people asking if they were pregnant, but they all misspelled pregnant and all in different ways. It's just the guy reading him. Am I pregnant? Am I pregnant? Am I pregnant? Am I pregnant? It's just a YouTube video of this guy reading all these Yahoo Answers, and it cracks me up.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right,
next story.
Do you want to know about the Joss Whedon thing?
Yeah, tell me about the Joss Whedon thing.
All right, I wasn't actually gonna put it in, but
but not like the people. The guy did the Gal Gadot. Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't even listen to what you said. What?
Oh, I just said you said I wasn't even going to put it in, and I was like, not like the guy did the Gal Gadot. But
oh, right, yeah, her husband.
Just trying to get you. Yeah.
Right. So basically,
just trying to get you more emails.
Right. So there was a picture of teenaged cancer survivors meeting with House Speaker Paul Ryan. And Whedon retweeted the picture with his own commentary because Whedon's very liberal and he's very angry about the Trump White House and everything involved with it.
Right.
And he said, tonight on White House Wife Hunt, Donnie makes host P. Ryan give 2 more contestants the not a 10 card.
Give them the what?
Not a 10 card. And it's a poster of Paul Ryan meeting with
cancer children,
teenaged cancer survivers.
Yeah, little tone deaf there, Josh.
Yeah,
you let your anger. Your anger is taking place of the love in your heart, sir. Calm down.
Right, and yeah, and even his diehard fans are like, dude, what the hell? And he deleted the tweet and said, okay, I'm going to go away for a while, which is what Joss does when he screws up like this. It just is. But I'm just kind of like, oh man, why did you have to wait until you were associated with DC properties to do this crap? You've been with Marvel for
what's DC
forever.
That's my question. What's DC doing to him over there?
Oh, shut up. No.
That's pretty bad.
So
all
anyway,
right, what's this next news? Come on.
It's pretty rough, and I'm sad about it, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, I'm sure it was just a joke where he saw the picture and was like, oh, this is that looks like a Bachelor moment. I'm going to say this picture. I'm sure he didn't even it just didn't cross his mind how insensitive he was being. I'm sure he's like, this is a funny joke. I'm sure everyone will love me for it.
Yeah. I think he just saw Paul Ryan, the anger mounted.
Yeah.
And he went for it, and it was just totally tone deaf and awful.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, so.
We still love you, Joss. We still love you, Joss. Do a little flogging of yourself and come back when you're ready.
I just hope he doesn't come in and be like, well, I couldn't do Batgirl now. Why? Because I have to reevaluate. Oh, Joss.
I have to reevaluate who I am as a human being. I've been living in the mind of Batgirl for a few weeks, and it really took me to a dark place.
So the Regal Cinemas is doing the Regal Ultimate ticket for Wonder Woman, and there's only 1,000, so it's probably all sold out by now, but you can go try at regmovies.com/Wonder Woman Ultimate Ticket. The ultimate ticket will cost you $100. There's only 1,000 of them, but you will be able to see Wonder Woman for as much as you want. And apparently that's a wonderful thing. I only have time for like 1 or 2 times. So I will not be purchasing this thing.
That's interesting.
It is. They did the same thing for BVS.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard of that. That actually might be a good deal for me with Guardians. I would seriously consider $100 ticket to Guardians that I could go as many times as I want. Especially if I could go in IMAX or whatever. Like if it's like a $15 ticket anyway.
I might do it if it included snacks. Like if I could just if it was just like a $100 gift card.
Including snacks, that's like
snacks.
Including snacks, that's like one time.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, I just feel like that's a no-brainer, including snacks. But I think if I could just if I was out and about for the next couple months while Guardians was in theaters and I needed to burn an hour and I could just go in for the last half of Guardians whenever I felt like it.
Right.
I could see myself doing that. It's about, for me, rewatchability is about how fun a movie is, and thus far DC has not established themselves as making the most fun movies. And so I don't think I would be like, I gotta see that again. But Guardians 1 was maybe the movie that I saw the most times in theaters ever. I think I saw it like 8 times.
Suicide Squad I saw once in theaters, and I saw the extended edition once. Batman v Superman I saw once in theaters, and probably 5 or 6 times extended cut. Like, it was that deep and good for me. Like, I like the the Ultimate Edition so much.
Awesome.
Like, I've watched it several. Like, it has the same problems that like all superhero movies have, to some degree. Where and a lot of TV has, like across the spectrum, where it's just like all you had to do was say like, "Hey, he kidnapped my mom."
All you had to do was what? I'm sorry, you broke up.
All you had to say was like, "Hey, Luthor kidnapped my mom. Help!" And like that whole fight didn't have to take place.
Right.
But that's like every movie ever.
Right.
Like I've had those problems in like every Marvel movie, like every DC movie ever, and almost every movie I've ever seen. Like because if you or TV show, because if you just say like, "Hey, I didn't sleep with your sister," well, then like a whole season of TV doesn't happen.
That is I would say that is the problem. BVS has that problem specifically because you've got good guys on opposite sides. Like anytime you try to put 2 good guys on opposite sides, you get that. Now, and that, I would say,
I felt like Civil War even had that problem.
I don't think Civil War had that problem at all. I was about to say the exact opposite.
Because all they had to say is like, "Hey, dude, Winter Soldier was brainwashed when he killed your folks."
No,
dude.
no.
Calm the hell down.
He said that, and Tony said, "I don't care," and threw him. And I think that was a completely legitimate thing. And it wasn't just that. He knew. It made absolute sense in that movie. In that, there's one thing that Cap could have come to him earlier and told him. I have a feeling it was Winter Soldier who killed your parents. Or actually, I know it was Winter Soldier who killed your parents, so you need to start dealing with that emotionally so that when we find the Winter Soldier, you're not trying to kill him.
Right.
But he was trying to find Bucky on his own and didn't want the problem that happened at the end of the movie, which was Tony Stark trying to kill his friend. So he kept it to himself.
Right.
And he didn't know how to react. So I don't think that was the same case, but even so, I still don't know that in BVS, I don't know that was a huge problem.
It wasn't a huge problem for me, but that's what I'm saying. But like, I only saw Winter Soldier. I mean, not Winter Soldier. I saw Winter Soldier like 4 or 5 times. Civil War, I watched way less. I only watched 1 time. I've watched that airport scene several times, but I haven't seen like the whole movie. I saw it 1 time and went, eh.
I love Civil War so much, and I think it has a few moments where it drags near the beginning because they have a lot to set up. But man, I love that movie. Man, I love that.
Which is the same. It's the same for BVS for me. Like I thought, I don't know if you've seen the Honest trailers. I can't remember if it was for BVS or Civil War, but they pointed out like how those 2 movies have way more in common than either fan base wants to admit.
Oh no, I said that. I said that as soon as I saw. I said that when I saw the movies before I saw that Honest trailer. Like, these plots have a ton in common. It's just that Civil War did it right, and BVS was awful.
I think I don't think as drastically in the opposite direction, because I did enjoy a lot of Civil War, but I did like BVS better.
Yeah, I just don't even understand what planet you're coming from. Let's move on.
Perhaps it was a mistake to call Matt in this time of need. Over to Justice League. Momoa was talking to GQ. He says Aquaman has never really been accepted on land. He was never accepted in Atlantis. He's a half-breed, but he's the best of both worlds, talking about how he's an outsider. And he says he just doesn't know how to handle his powers, so it's kind of a coming of age for a young man to a man, or a king to a king. He's lost a lot of things, and he's just got to cope.
Cool.
He's an outsider.
Like a good outsider.
I'm really excited for Aquaman and James Wan directing it.
Absolutely, James Wan's
everybody
great.
He's I think he usually does horror, and I really want to see what he brings to like the underworld water of Atlantis.
Yeah, and the Fast and the Furious stuff that he did, like he's gonna have good action sensibility, good horror sensibility. It could be great.
Momoa also talked about being pretty much the first guy, like he's planting the flag. He didn't say that, but that's just my terminology. He says we've never really seen anything from this guy before, so it's fun to have a level playing field. There aren't like 4 Aquamans before me. I get to set the tone for it. Which, I mean, there was that cat in Smallville, but Alan Richardson. But I mean, he did a fine job. But,
yeah.
I mean,
Dude,
they're not really going for that kind of tone.
I've been watching this new show,
What?
This Is Us. Have you heard of this show?
I saw a trailer for it and almost threw up in my mouth.
I love this show. I love it
I keep hearing
so
that.
much.
I keep hearing that.
I watched the first couple episodes. It's a really weird show, and I don't even want to tell you anything because you gotta watch it.
Right. Don't tell me.
There are like legit spoilers I could tell you, and it's fun.
You know what's weird is my girlfriend Bethany. You know Bethany. I do. I say that for the audience.
Yeah.
Bethany has started watching Party of 5 on Netflix, and for whatever reason, it has sparked an insane need within me to go check out This Is Us. I don't know why I am equating those two in my head.
It's not insane. It's really good show. But I get what you're saying. But one of the main characters, I was like looking at him and I was like, I know this guy from somewhere, and I was like trying to place it.
Oh yeah, Green Arrow.
Yeah, it's Oliver Queen from Smallville. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, Justin Hartley.
Yeah.
Justin Hartley, yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He's great on This Is Us, and
Yeah, he was.
Took me a while.
He was great as Ollie.
Yeah, he was. I took me a really like 15 episodes of This Is Us to realize who he was.
Oh, absolutely. Oh no, I saw the trailer and I went Ollie, because it's just how I think of him. Like sometimes, in a lot of ways, more than Stephen Amell. I like what Stephen Amell is doing right now in Arrow, which you haven't caught up.
Nope, I'm real far behind.
To me, Justin Hartley played a more comic book accurate Ollie Queen, who was a little more lighthearted, more jokey. So, yeah, I kind of think of him a lot of times when I'm thinking about Green Arrow.
Huh.
But yeah, I saw him and like, oh my gosh, that's him. Yes, I'm glad he's doing something.
Apparently, I just looked him up on IMDb. Apparently, in 2006, he starred as Aquaman in a pilot for Aquaman for television.
Hartley did?
Yeah, Hartley was Arthur Curry on a pilot, only the pilot episode in 2006, and then that's all they did, I guess.
I saw that pilot episode, but I don't remember it at all.
Yeah, it was apparently Justin Hartley. That's kind of funny that he jumped from one DC hero to the next.
That is pretty interesting. I mean, it happens, but
sure.
I mean, that's interesting. I mean, Alan Richardson, who was Aquaman on Smallville, is apparently one of the Ninja Turtles in the Michael Bay movies.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, and I've forgotten that he was Aquaman. I don't remember him as Aquaman, but I know I saw that. That pilot.
I was watching. Oh gosh, what am I trying to say? I was watching Iron Fist, and I know you haven't seen it yet, so I won't spoil anything.
Right.
But watching Iron Fist, and it starts. The hand comes up, and certain elements of the hand started reminding me of the Foot Clan. You know. I know.
Foot Clan was.
That's what's so funny. Like I was like, man, this is reminding me so much of the Foot Clan. Oh, right, because it's based on the Foot Clan is based on the hand.
Sure.
It was just funny. It was funny but since, originally it was kind of a parody, but then in those movies, in the 90s movies of the Teenage Turtles, they don't treat it like a parody. They treat it like a superhero movie. These are turtles who are saving you from the Foot Clan. And so the realistic version of Iron Fist with the hand and then the kind of attempt at realism of the turtles in the 90s kind of landed in sort of the same place for the hand and the, and I don't know, it was just kind of, it was an interesting moment when I was like, that's weird. They kind of came around from different angles and landed in the same place.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay. So, Lego toys have been, popping up and they've shown, a Lego rendition of Steppenwolf and the Flying Fox from Justice League,
Nice.
And the Nightcrawler that's coming from Justice League. The Nightcrawler and the Flying Fox looks pretty much to me like a Lego version of the things that we've already seen. Flying Fox we haven't actually seen the external view of in any of the trailers, but it looks like just like a little mini airship, like a almost like a Batman version of the helicarrier from Avengers to me.
Okay.
Like a cross between the helicarrier and maybe a Quinjet from X-Men.
Is Flying Fox the name of the like the base for them or something? Like what is the Flying Fox? I don't know that.
It's not from the comics as far as I know. I don't remember anything like that from the comics, but it's like an airship that Bruce Wayne has flying about. And one of the cool things about the Legos is the Lego Batmobile fits inside.
Oh, neat.
It just rolls inside and there's like a little hatch. And I'm sure that's, true of the Flying Fox in the movie. We've only seen the interiors in the trailers. Now, the Steppenwolf figure...
You think is it named after Lucius there?
I would assume it was named after Lucius Fox. I would assume that, yeah.
That's neat.
Lucius Fox has taken on, even in the source material, has taken on much more of a proactive role in the creation of Batman's gadgets. I think mostly because writers realized that Batman wouldn't have time to do everything.
I really like what they did
comics.
with Lucius this week on Gotham, by the way. That was pretty great.
Oh my gosh, right?
Oh, so good.
But yeah, anyway. So, wait, are you talking about tonight or are you talking about last week?
Last week.
Okay, yeah, last week was amazing.
Have you already seen tonight's?
No.
I haven't either, so we're in the same boat. I really love what they did with Lucius this week.
Yeah. So, the Steppenwolf figure, do you know who Steppenwolf is? Are you aware?
A little bit. Just mostly from the fact that he was, I know he's like a servant of Darkseid or whatever.
Well, he's also the uncle of Darkseid.
Yeah, I knew that.
And it's been talked about that he's going to be like sort of taking over worlds for Darkseid in this movie, but he's like enslaved to Darkseid. Like this like a new fold, a little new wrinkle in the idea of the character for this film. But in terms of what he'll look like, he's pretty much based on this Lego figure, as much as you can glean from a Lego figure. He pretty much just looks like the rendition of Steppenwolf we got in Batman v Superman, which isn't a surprise.
Yeah.
In that deleted scene that wound up being in the Ultimate Cut of the communion scene, as they called it, with Lex Luthor talking to the big creature. He just looks like that to me. I don't see a difference.
Cool.
Aquaman has begun filming finally in Australia. They did a ton of location finding for this thing. Like we've seen reports from James Wan over the last few months, shooting beautiful places and sending us pictures and the fan base pictures and saying, "Oh man, look at this place." Yeah,
that's a pretty place.
But they're gonna start filming in Queensland, Australia. And a lot of films have been shooting in Australia lately, including a fair amount of the Marvel movies. So I think like Thor Ragnarok just left Queensland.
Oh, was it in Queensland? Yeah, I wasn't sure where they were filming.
I think so.
That's cool.
I think so. But so that's happening. There was a picture of Jango Fett. Tamira Morrison, he played Jango Fett.
Okay.
In the Star Wars prequel. I think the second one, whatever that one was.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones.
Thing, whatever that, yeah. Those awful prequels. But it's a picture of Jason Momoa hugging the guy. You know, that Tamora Morrison is, we've reported previously, is going to be playing Thomas Curry, the father of Aquaman.
Okay.
And one of the funniest things I've seen, and you know, I'm pro DC here. I've enjoyed some Aquaman stories in my time, but you know, Yahya Abdul Mateen, the guy playing Black Manta, posted a picture of himself after a Q&A on Twitter, an impromptu Twitter Q&A, where he asked what he should be reading, and people gave him recommendations. He posted a picture of himself with a ton of Aquaman comics, and he says, "Looks like I've got some reading to do." And bleedingcool.com put up an article that with the tagline, the headline: "Suffering for his art, Black Manta actor Yahya Abdul Mateen II to read Aquaman comics for research." His Aquaman comics are kind of notoriously bad. As far there are some that are really good, like, you know, I don't know, The Death of a Prince is pretty good. That's 70s stuff though. You know, Peter David's entire run, Triton Saga, all that stuff is really good. Jeff Johns does a good job with Aquaman comics. There have been some really good ones, but he's just not a popular character. His stuff's always gotten canceled, or for a lot of times gotten canceled. Yeah, I just thought it was funny. It made me laugh that he was suffering for his art. Over to the Batman news, the Batman solo film. Matt Reeves talked about his obsession with Batman as a child to the Los Angeles Daily News. He says, "It's a strange thing to be involved in the two franchises, which were the two that I was connected to most as a child." He's talking about the Planet of the Apes franchise and Batman. He says, "I was just obsessed with Batman when I was a kid. What I find so interesting about him as a character is that as far as a superhero goes, he's not superhuman. He is a person, and he is a tortured soul who's grappling with his past and trying to find a way to be in a world that has a lot that's wrong with it, and trying to find a way to reconcile all of that. That is a really powerful character in the same way that Caesar is such a powerful character in the Planet of the Apes."
Cool. I've still yet to see those new Planet of the Apes.
Me too, man. I haven't seen any of that.
I've seen the first one with James Franco, but I haven't seen the two sequels yet. No, I need to, because I love the original series. I really didn't like the Mark Wahlberg movie.
Yeah, well, we ignored that one here.
Yeah. Someone online was making a case that apparently that Mark Wahlberg movie, that ending, you know, that makes no sense, is apparently closer to the original script for the original Planet of the Apes or whatever. And apparently, whatever the sequel would have gone on to make it make sense, but they never did that.
Well,
so it definitely didn't make sense with apparently in the original script, if not the original book. I'm not sure about the book, but I don't even know if it was based on a book, to be honest. In the original,
it was based on a book. Yes, it was based on a book, but like the original movie with Charlton Heston didn't go by the book's ending,
right?
And I don't remember what the book's ending was. I know I love the original ending of the original Planet of the Apes.
The movie,
but the
right?
original Planet of the Apes, the movie
Me too.
was written by Rod Serling of the Twilight Zone.
Oh, well, there you go. Apparently, the original script, though, did not have that ending. It had an ending similar to what you see in the Mark Wahlberg movie, but then they did some rewrites and eventually came on the that version where it's the same planet but years later. Well, apparently, that was not the original concept, which I thought...
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Which I thought was really cool. And the idea that maybe this Mark Wahlberg movie was actually closer to the original source material, but they just never did it. They never finished it. And so I still don't know. I need to go and read the original book to figure out why that could make sense. Okay. Sorry. Just
I don't know.
Had to touch on that Mark Wahlberg movie. So what else?
A lot of people would love to touch on some Mark Wahlberg, anything. But to be fair, though, I've never seen any. I have say hello to your mother for me. I've never seen anything, any Planet of the Apes, anything but the Mark Wahlberg movie and the original Rod Serling.
Oh, really?
Charlton Heston movie.
You never saw any of the sequels to the original?
No.
Man, there's some pretty good movies, I must say.
Yeah.
There's an entire movie, and I'm not to spoil it for you, but it is from the 70s. There's an entire movie.
That doesn't make it.
There's an entire
That
movie.
doesn't make it okay if you know I haven't seen it.
Well, yeah, but if you had lived in the 70s, you would have seen the trailer for this, and it would have been in the trailer. You just...
Okay.
This is the concept of the third movie. The third movie, two of the apes get in a ship and go back in time to the 70s to current day. So the third movie is just these two apes waking up in our time and having to live and they become celebrities and they go on talk shows and shit. It's super weird. It's like a weird 70s movie. It's great though.
And it's like it's a grandfather paradox, isn't it? Like they just basically become the sentient apes that breed the sentient apes that wind up causing the Planet of the Apes in the first place.
Yes, it is. And then
I'm a huge Roddy McDowell fan, so I've flirted quite a bit with watching all of them. I just haven't gotten around to it.
You should. All five are great.
Well, I think what always ultimately bothers me is that there was a television series that doesn't have an ending that was tied into all of those movies.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would say ignore it and watch the five, because the five are the movie canon. I'm sure there's I don't know what they did in the television series, but the movies were pretty cool. And they do kind of wrap it all up nicely.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll do that, but I'll probably just try to ignore those and go ahead with the Matt Reeves movies that have just recently happened. If I get around to it, I've been told various times with various different.
We should do
myriad people in my life are telling me to watch.
Let's do a separate podcast, podcast mini podcast where we just do an episode for like a 9-episode mini podcast series where we just cover all the Planet of the Apes movies.
This is like the 27th thing you've suggested we do a podcast about.
I know, man. We should do a podcast, and this is all the more evidence. I know we're gonna get nothing but fan feedback saying this was the best episode of your podcast ever.
Yeah, I'm gonna get 4 people going, when's Jason coming back?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's gonna be like, well, why? Why did you have him on? He did nothing but bash DC.
Yeah.
This is why I don't do a DC podcast, because I couldn't talk positively about it. You should podcast. I mean, legitimately, you should podcast about a thing you really love, and you really love a lot of the DC stuff, and I do too. I want it to be there, but I have such negative emotions about some of it that I couldn't. I wouldn't want to subject the fans to my voice every week.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really love Marvel and DC. I love a lot of the stuff they did on Marvel. I don't think I like it as much as you and Jeff do, as far as Marvel.
Yeah, man.
Because sometimes it's just, you guys are just, I just don't agree. I'm just like, gosh. Especially not Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff is just blind. Jeff is blind hatred for DC.
Yeah, and
a football fan would be for, an opposing team or something.
And he has no qualms about that. He's just yeah, of course I do. Of course I hate DC and I love Marvel. What? I'm not there. I'm a much more measured, I have the things I don't like, and they're because I didn't like them in the movies, not because I just don't like DC. I want DC to be great. Like I said, one of my favorite TV shows on it right now is Gotham. I freaking love Gotham. But Gotham and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are kind of tied at the top for me.
You're at least willing to take Kevin Feige's dick out of your mouth long enough to sample the hors d'oeuvres,
Keep Snyder away from me.
Moving on.
What?
This will break your heart. And it broke my heart.
Oh no.
There was a rumor going on this week that Robert Zemeckis was in talks to direct The Flash.
Oh yeah, there was that rumor. Did it get is it not true?
It got squashed pretty much.
That does break my heart.
For anyone who doesn't know, Bob Zemeckis, the great Bob Zemeckis, did the Back to the Future trilogy and Forrest Gump. Wonderful filmmaker. But first, El Mayimbe came out and said that it wasn't true. Humberto Gonzalez, he said it wasn't true. He's not in talks. He took a meeting and that is it. They're still meeting with other directors. And then Zemeckis actually updated his schedule. It looks like he's going to be doing the remake of the 2010 documentary Marwin Call, whatever the hell that is.
Nope, no idea.
For November 21st, 2018. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a bummer. I'd really love to see him on The Flash, mostly because it's probably going to involve time travel, and that would be a lot of fun to see him back on time travel property.
I would love to see Zemeckis. God, I would love to see him do any of this stuff. But Back to the Future trilogy is my favorite trilogy of all time.
Mine too.
And well, look at that. We agreed.
Oh yeah, baby. You know me, and you have a lot of the same loves.
We do. So we're officially into the Batwieners segment. I feel. Henry Cavill celebrated National Superhero Day, which was earlier this week. I don't know the actual day. I don't remember. I didn't write it down because it wasn't important. But Henry Cavill,
screw him. Yeah. He's like, I am Superman. I'm gonna celebrate this day. Stop celebrating yourself, Cavill.
Henry Cavill posted a selfie of himself, and he wrote, "Fly your colors today, brothers and sisters. It's National Superhero Day. I personally just want to thank all of you guys and gals for keeping us so entertained and setting such a fantastic example for superhero fans, young and old, around the world." And he tagged every superhero from every Marvel movie, DC movie, Fox Marvel movie, and Sony Marvel movie. So he respected everyone, you jerk.
No. That's great. I still feel like if you're playing Superman, the obviously like number one superhero, like if you think of superheroes and you say who is the superhero, like he's the superhero, Superman.
Yeah. Superman was the first superhero.
Exactly. So like you think of it, and then he's like, let's celebrate Superhero Day. I mean, really?
Well,
I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing, man. It's fine. I'm just being a hard ass.
Yeah, I know. Val Kilmer took to the interwebs to celebrate National Superhero Day too. My actual tagline for this headline for this was Val Kilmer does some weird Batman stuff. He did like a weird Batman themed video, and he put on like this weird like splotchy white and black Batman mask, and he's got a weird voice now because apparently like Michael Douglas came out a few months ago and said that Val Kilmer had throat cancer, and Val Kilmer said no, I didn't have cancer, and then he did like a Reddit whatever the thing is answer thing. I don't remember what it's called now.
AMA.
But AMA, that's it. He did like a AMA over there, and he said he did have cancer and he's recovering, but and his tongue is swollen. But anyway, in this clip, he's saying, he puts on the mask.
That whole thing. You know with Michael Douglas and throat cancer thing, right? You know that whole thing, right?
Yes, I know why. The whole thing where he said he
got it from giving cunnilingus. I just thought that was... Yeah. So it's funny that he's going around outing other people for throat cancer. It's like, he's saying, you know what they've been doing, right? Yes, pleasing their women.
Right. Yeah, well, I hadn't considered that, but...
you hear Michael Douglas and throat cancer in the same sentence, you really can't get it out of your head.
Yeah, I mean, it did occur to me that I did remember why Michael Douglas had throat cancer, but it didn't occur to me that he was just trying to out other people as performing cunnilingus.
It seems like it. It seems like it. Although I thought Val Kilmer was a gay man, isn't he?
A gay man?
A gay man.
Is that a term?
I just think it's a funny way to say gay man.
Not to my knowledge, I don't know. I don't keep up with Val Kilmer.
I thought that was the case.
I wasn't particularly impressed with his, rendition of Batman, and I haven't. He was good in The Saint. I'll give him that. He was good in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and I think he played a gay man in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. But not all people with throat cancer has performed cunnilingus.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I don't know. I don't think it really matters.
It doesn't matter at all. I just thought that was the case.
And just to be fair, I'm not looking it up now because if you type in anything, is so and so gay, there are like equal numbers of articles saying yes and no because the internet believes everybody's gay. Anyway.
No, yeah. Apparently, he was married to a woman though. So there's that.
That doesn't necessarily mean anything. How am I on this?
Still proves nothing.
How am I on this side of the argument now? I'm on this side of the argument.
Still proves. I mean, there was no argument. I thought I'd read that or something, and I am not making a value judgment. I'm just saying I thought that was the case. So he probably didn't get it in the same way that Michael Douglas got it. That's all I'm saying.
Right. No. It was just that the antiquated, awful people in 1995 said that the Batman costume he wore was gay. That's what confused you. He posted this thing it's a clip that he's doing with a friend of his, a filmmaker friend of his. They're making some sort of a strange comedy sketch. It's very bizarre. And he and his buddy put on a bunch of different kinds of masks and outfits that resemble Batman. And then at the end, he puts on this weird splotchy mask and it says, "It's been a while." And he got a lot of good press for that. A lot of people liked it, so they put up another one that had MIDI version of Seal's "Kiss by a Rose," which was on the Batman Forever soundtrack.
Yeah.
And then different versions of the song played throughout the 50-second video, whatever it was. But it's his buddy is David Cho, I guess is how you pronounce that, and they did it for National Superhero Day. So that's weird, and I don't know what's going on with that. But Val Kilmer does say he would love to play Batman again. And, he says his tongue is swollen and is still healing from the cancer. But I've been very vocal on this podcast as saying I would love to see Michael Keaton and Val Kilmer, and for that matter, Clooney and Bale come back and play Batman in alongside Affleck in a Crisis on Infinite Earths type of situation. I think that would be really dope. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, man, that'd be cool.
I don't even care. It was let's just do multiple universes. That's my favorite thing. By the way, you know the band Eels?
I do.
You know the main singer-songwriter, the guy, Mark Everett, his dad was a scientist. His dad was the guy that created the multiverse theory, came up with that, the Everett Wheeler multiverse theory.
No, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and his dad was shunned in the community for years, and now it's one of the prevailing theories of how the universe works. I think it's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Anyway, I heard him on Mark Maron's podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, my dad was the parallel Earths guy." And as soon as he said it, I was like, "Holy shit, Everett Wheeler!" Yeah, so that was fun. Anyway, so Chief Brody Rules on YouTube user, put out a video. He made a trailer that was "What if Batman v Superman was a buddy cop film?" I sent you this thing. What did you feel? What did you think about it, man?
Sorry, hold on.
Oh, something's happening.
Sorry, you probably have to edit this moment.
We're pretty lax about editing.
Sorry, you were in the middle of a thing, and I had to get up and go close the door, and so I could hear you, but I couldn't talk. Yeah, I loved it. I thought that was really fun. They did a really good job. They took footage from a bunch of different movies to make this buddy cop moment. Thing.
Yeah, it seriously seemed like a Lethal Weapon movie.
Yeah, it did.
With Batman
it was
and
fun.
Superman.
And some of the little, some of my favorite things were when they just inserted CGI'd in Batman or Superman into some other movie, and it was funny. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was pretty phenomenal. I enjoyed we don't talk a whole lot about fan made videos like this, but that one I laughed hard enough and we got excited enough that I was just yeah, I kind of want to talk about this. Because it was totally Lethal Weapon in a lot of ways. It was funny.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool.
I would never actually want to see it.
I wouldn't want them to make a full movie out of it, but that trailer was fun to watch.
It was. Okay, guys. So that's all the news I have.
All right. We made it.
I think that's all we got. Yeah. We're only 2 hours.
Yeah, only made it just under 2 hours. Sorry, I diverted the conversation a bunch. It was fun to talk about all these things. We don't get to talk about DC much over on the Marvel cast, so it's good. It's fun. Yeah. It's fun. I love DC as little as it seems like that sometimes. I really do love DC, and I want all these movies to be awesome. I'm really hoping for great things from Justice League and from Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Yeah, like in my head, I just hope that things become, and I haven't lost hope, because for me, like, the first 3 Marvel movies weren't like the greatest thing ever. Like Iron Man was pretty rocking.
Iron Man
Iron
was
Man 2 and
great. I thought Iron Man 2 and Incredible Hulk was kind of iffy. Yeah, well, the thing is, and not to get into why I'm hating, but here's the big mistake I feel that DC made is I feel, and this, I know you disagree with me on this, but I feel that they tried to put the cart before the horse. They saw the success of this extended universe that Marvel had created and how great Avengers was, and they were like, we can do that. We're going to do it too. And so they decided to make a Justice League movie, and they made a Superman that was, iffy on how well it was received. Some people like it, some people don't. Then they went right into a Batman v Superman movie. I would have much rather seen a Batman movie and a Superman movie and a Wonder Woman movie and a Flash movie and a Cyborg movie and then a Justice League, Which
is funny, because Chris Pratt, actually, of Guardians of the Galaxy, made a similar comment. But he said he liked all the DC movies. He's not like a harsh critic on them. But he was talking about how, like, he felt like that was the same problem with Suicide Squad, is that they just introduced all these characters. And I'm like, that's funny, because he was like bringing up, like, they did the Iron Man trilogy, and he was a little wrong, because they did Avengers and then Iron Man 3, but whatever.
Right. Well, they did Iron Man 1 and 2.
They're just now finishing the Thor trilogy. Yeah, and they're just now finishing the Thor trilogy, like 2 Avengers movies in,
right,
or whatever.
All of them only had one before Avengers.
He was a little wrong in what he was talking about, but I just thought it was incredibly funny coming from a guy who was in Guardians of the Galaxy, a movie that just introduced a whole bunch of characters, and I only liked like 3 of them because that's all I remember.
Oh man, well,
like I know Gamora was there, but adopted daughter of Darkseid and all. Not our Darkseid, Thanos. Sorry,
I think
Thanos
there's a difference.
Was a rip-off of Darkseid in the comics, but
I think there's a difference when you have a team that. I think there's a difference though when you introduce a team in a team movie. Suicide Squad could have been a great team movie. I didn't like it, but it wasn't because there's too many characters. People always criticize things for having too many characters in them, and I don't think that's the problem. I think it's the characters that you're introducing. Like, through most of that movie, Drax, Gamora, Groot, and Rocket are not the protagonists through most of that movie.
Right.
You have a protagonist. Right. And then by the end, they've joined his team. And it's a team movie where they rally behind one protagonist. And if you do it just in Batman v Superman, they're doing the opposite. They're doing like, these 2 guys are fighting. But it's like, I don't know anything about this version of Batman, except that he's more brutal than any Batman we've seen.
Well, like, we're not talking about BVS. We're talking about, Suicide Squad, and to me, it's like a lot. Every movie is different, and I enjoy all these movies on some level. But, like when you look at Guardians of the Galaxy, I remember Rocket. I remember feeling things for him and Groot to some degree, and Peter Quill, and kind of Gamora, and kind of Drax.
Yeah.
But like they were more there. Like Drax was more there for like comedic effect, as was Groot.
Right.
And until he said, "We are Groot," and I was just like, "Oh."
Yeah.
But,
that's the thing is they all have their moments where they become. Yeah. You get behind them from the very beginning. Drax is threatening Peter Quill, and he's like, he's wanting to kill him, and there's a bit of fear there. Like, I don't know about this guy. And Rocket and Groot are just like, they're thieves. They're not really on anyone's side. They're just trying to get some, get out of jail again. They all have their own little things going on, and then when they realize there's that scene, and it's a similar scene as of like the Serenity table scene. Where there's that circle, there's that circle scene in Guardians where they sit and they have the camera swirling around. They all just talk about what they've got to do, and realizing that they have to take responsibility and do something for other people, and it's just a nice moment. And that's when they become the team.
It was,
but from the beginning, it's just a Peter Quill story. It's the Peter Quill story until then.
Yeah, that scene, like I think of that scene as the "I aim to misbehave" sequence.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly what I'm
fans
talking
of
about.
Serenity will know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
But I mean, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought it was a fantastic movie. I thought it was a better movie than Suicide Squad. I'll admit. I'm not. I do a DC podcast, but I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy was a better movie than Suicide Squad. I'm sorry, guys. It just was. Same time, I enjoyed Suicide Squad.
Yeah, man.
I did. It was not, it had editing problems, which is what happens when you have a trailer house edit your film.
Yep.
Which they had like 3 different edits of the film, and apparently one of them,
Was just
David
a trailer
Ayer's actual
company.
edit didn't. Well, no, like one of the the David Ayer's cut of the movie apparently like bummed audiences out.
Well, I would have liked,
and not, but for good reason.
The biggest,
it was like
the biggest sin for me from Suicide Squad. My biggest moment of that movie that bothers me. There could have been ways to rectify it. But what's when Diablo says, I forget the line. I think he says we're family, and then he turns into the big beasts and sacrifices himself, saving everyone.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
Such a stretch. It's like they've been on this mission for 3 hours.
Yeah,
and I could have done
that. They've tolerated each other for all of 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I could have done with they had that whole conversation in the bar about how they're all bad guys and how they don't have a home. They all don't have a place to be, and they're all kind of have their own. They're sort of similar in these different ways, right? I could have seen him being like, yeah, that's why you don't fuck with the bad guys or something like that. We're understanding that they are a brotherhood of sorts because they have a similarity is one thing, but calling them family was the craziest thing I'd seen. I was like, what are you? There is no basis for that.
Yeah, I would have been happier with a line about him just accepting the fact that he needed to be redeemed, or he needed to atone for his sins.
Yeah. That could have fit his character great.
I destroyed my world, I might as well save everyone else's.
Or something almost I could see a nihilistic version where he's just kind of I've been dead the whole time kind of thing. I'm going in for this because I deserve to be gone after what I've done. Because didn't he murder his family or something like that in the canon?
Yeah, he did. He murdered his family.
I could absolutely see him just embracing his death because he deserves it. And it being the thing that redeems him. That's a beautiful arc. But him saying, we're family now because plus, you don't really want to be family with this guy. You know what he does to his family.
Yeah, well, I think that's the point. I'm not going to kill another family. But, yeah, that was a problem. And, I didn't care for I didn't care for a few things. I didn't like Killer Croc. I didn't think he looked good.
I thought he was straight up a racist character.
I mean, why? Why was he?
I don't know. Racist? He had not him as racist. I thought the depiction of him, the way he really wanted BET real bad.
Yeah.
It had this sort of problematic racial thing where it was I don't know if you are black, you're alligator skinned. I don't know what culture you come from. But it seems like they're just throwing. It's almost as bad as whatever in there one of the Transformers is supposed to be urban in quotation marks, and so he's always just talking like this, and his name's Jazz, and he's
yeah.
It kind of felt like they were doing that to him, but even in a worse way because they weren't just giving him a voice; they were giving him this trait that he just really wanted to see BET in his.
Right.
That's really a weird.
Well, the actor was black.
Okay. Yeah. See, I didn't even know, but it just felt a little strange. I don't know.
Yeah, it did feel a little weird. But,
also, the ropes guy that they kill off immediately.
Yeah.
I would have loved that moment if they had given him a backstory.
Yeah, and
but
they just decided we all knew he was done.
Well, but we knew he was done, because they didn't give him a backstory. I would have loved it if they really invested a good 5 minutes into him being he has ropes and showing what he can do, and then they kill him. Then it's a surprise. As soon as they walked in, and Boomerang was like, you should just try to climb the thing there. And he's like, "You're right, I should." Boom! I knew that was happening. It was so telegraphed because they didn't invest in his character at all. And they
first of all, the way you do the Captain Boomerang, like, oh, you should do the thing with the ropes there. I just imagine Norm Macdonald as Captain Boomerang, and that delights me to no end. But
yeah, man, climb the building there. What are they gonna do? Blow you up? Yeah, right.
Man, this is a bunch of BS. They're not gonna do anything to you. You should just go ahead and jump that building. Boom. Yeah, at least I know it's not BS now.
Yeah, that's very much, and I liked that moment a lot. I thought that was really fun, and I knew it, but it was just too telegraphed. I kind of wish they had. I think the problem they had, and this is fact at this point, pretty much. When you look at the trailers, they had a trailer before they had a full cut of the movie, but they had so much trailer, like you can see, like there's so much in the trailers that tell you Slipknot is not here, Slipknot is not here. Why go the extra mile and waste precious theater time giving us a backstory for Slipknot when we know, based on just looking at the trailers, that the dude's not going to make it past any time? That's a little. I think that's you having watched every trailer and doing. But the average moviegoer doesn't watch trailers the way we watch trailers.
I also think the average moviegoer wouldn't have even noticed they didn't give him a backstory.
Yeah, well, but they knew that that's the thing, is like, when you see that moment, you're like, who was that guy? I don't care at all. Like, if they had invested in him and even made him maybe a little likable and then blew his head off, like, that would have been so much more impactful and fun.
There's no making that dude likable. Like, that character is a misogynist. He's awful. He beats up women and shit. Like, there's no, they treated him correctly. I feel like they killed him. And that was funny. They killed him in a funny way, and I enjoyed it. And I was not ever invested in him, nor did I ever want to be. Yeah, I just
didn't like that it was so telegraphed. That's all I'm saying. It felt like it was supposed to be a surprise, and it wasn't.
If anything, that character served to just show us how intelligent Captain Boomerang was, and that was enjoyable to me.
Right. I liked the move that Captain Boomerang pulled. I liked that. I just didn't like the way that it worked out. The other thing that really bothered me in that movie is, so you've got, and you can turn around this on Marvel easily, partially, but
crappy
fights have to have stakes. And
do they?
If a fight has no stakes, then it's just eyeball candy, and it doesn't affect your heart at all. And like, that's not fun to watch in a movie theater. Like, a fight has to have one of two kinds of stakes, like a villain that's actually hard to overcome, or you have to feel, or a villain that you care about, like a villain that's interesting or that you care about. You just gotta care about who's gonna win the battle, and you have to, or you have to believe that it's possible to lose the battle, or to at least be hurt by the whole sequence where they're fighting these weird zombie guys in the weird putties. They're just really. And what kills one is really strange. Like, so some of them are getting shot, some of them are just getting hit by a bat, and I don't know. It just seemed like I never feared for anyone's safety at all. And I wanted to. I wanted to care about them. I wanted to fear for their safety. But the way they shot it just made, like, none of these heroes walking through this battlefield are in any way in danger. Ever.
I felt the same way about Avengers. I feel the same way about all of these things, like all of these movies. Like,
I would agree. Avengers: Age of Ultron has this little bit of a problem. It has that problem. You don't feel like the Ultron bots are really ever gonna beat up an Avenger.
The closest they got in, like, the first Avengers was Tony, and I still didn't feel anything because I knew that he was coming back with Iron Man 3 like 2 months later. Like, right. I didn't give a crap. So it's like, I enjoy these things for what they are, but at the same time, like, I don't expect anyone to die.
But you keep having to go outside the movie to tell me why it's bad when you're talking about, like, Avengers. When you're talking about, they really made me feel for Tony, but I knew he was coming back because I'd watched a trailer of this other movie. And the same thing with Suicide Squad. You're like, yeah, but this is a trailer.
Yeah, sure.
I'm talking about, like, inside the movie, they never made me feel stakes. And, like, all this, the vast majority of the movie, they're fighting these putties that die however the plot deems necessary for them to die. Either you hit them softly with a bat and they crumble, or you have to fire at them 10 times. Like, it just doesn't, there's no, like, consistency or rules.
No, it just seemed like they were just taking out the head. Like, if they could take out the head, they were good. Like, Katana and Harley Quinn just, like, just knocked the head into pieces with a bat or a sword. But, guys with guns had to shoot out pieces of the head. But they were all controlled by Enchantress. I'm not saying it was the most satisfactory army of aliens or creatures. Or
and then whatever. The other thing is, like,
zombie
when
hordes.
and Avengers: Age of Ultron was almost a response to Man of Steel. In that, one of the biggest things, the reason you feel stakes in Age of Ultron doesn't have anything to do with the heroes. You're pretty sure the heroes aren't going to die, although one does.
One that I didn't care about. Like, they took an easy way out with that.
Yeah, they did.
I didn't give a crap about them.
They did. Well, this thing, like, I have thoughts on that, but the thing that they made interesting in that was they actually tried to make the world feel full of people, and they were actually having to save people. And it was actually like a humanitarian effort to save all these people and, like, get them onto the SHIELD helicarrier. And that made that scene more interesting, because you could see people dying, and people did die, and then those repercussions go on into Civil War. But but my thoughts on what you just said about what did you just say? Oh yeah, the thing about killing Quicksilver. Killing Quicksilver in that movie was, I think, Joss Whedon at his most wankiest. Joss Whedon decided to... he spent the entire movie setting up Hawkeye to die just for the joke of having Quicksilver save him. And not joke, but, like... Whedon loves to have, like, sort of this meta conversation with the audience where it's like, I'm putting something out there, this is gonna happen, and then no, it's not.
I feel like the Quicksilver death in Ultron was Joss Whedon's response to his own reputation.
I kind of agree with that. I'd love for you to expound on what you mean, but that's kind of what I'm saying with... He's setting up a character, the most beloved character, the heart of the team, and then let's kill him. And then he was like, he literally threw Quicksilver, and then it was like he had Quicksilver say what Joss Whedon wanted to say to the audience. You weren't expecting that, were you? And it was just like, come on, no, like, don't work so hard on a surprise that you forget what the heart of the thing is, Well, and I felt like they just...
I never felt like I never felt like I never felt like I didn't
Hawkeye?
necessarily feel Hawkeye.
Oh, I didn't either.
Necessarily feel like Hawkeye was going to die. Like, I felt like I didn't necessarily feel like he was setting up anything.
I definitely did.
Because it just seemed so on the nose. I was just like, he's not going to die. That's going to be like, because Whedon knows who he is and how we perceive him and what we expect from him, he's not going to have Hawkeye die. I didn't necessarily believe that he was going to have Quicksilver die, but when he did, I was like, well, that's cheap.
Yeah, it was. And it also was cheap because I think part of the reason they killed him off was because of the confusion with the Fox character. And also Fox at that point had done very little right. But in First Class, I think it was First Class, I may be wrong.
No, it was Days of Future Past.
That's right. In Days of Future Past, their Quicksilver scene was the best thing they had done. The best, like, three minutes of Fox Marvel content that there had ever been. Up to that point. And it was just like, that was an amazing scene. Let's do that all the time. And then I think they were just like, you know what? We got to kill one of these characters. It might as well be the one that we have, like, a weird conflict with another company and that we're probably not going to be able to beat their version of, because they did a great version of him.
In hindsight, it seems perfectly reasonable. Like, one of them gets Scarlet Witch, one of them gets Quicksilver. I was actually just hoping for a multiverse approach. I feel like that's just always my approach. I just always hoping for a multiverse.
Well, and I mean, that's what we have in the sense that we literally have different universes and multiple universes that can do whatever they want. And I'm fine with that. I would have been fine with them keeping Quicksilver around, but Quicksilver's death just did not feel, they didn't take, it's just like Rope Man, which I still don't know his name.
Slipknot.
Don't tell me.
Slipknot. Slipknot.
Just like that 90s rock band Slipknot. They just did not set up.
Yeah.
They did not set up that character well. Just they didn't do it with Quicksilver either. They didn't spend any time establishing who Quicksilver was. I would have probably felt the same way if they'd killed off Wanda as well at that point, because there's no reason to care about her. And it was just like, finally they're going to kill an Avenger in an Avengers movie, and it's going to be matter. It's not going to matter at all to me, and that sucks. You know, don't kill a character if it doesn't matter. You know. Yeah. And that is the big problem with Marvel, is they've killed way too many people that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because they either brought him back, or you never cared to begin with.
And I will tell you this, and I'm excited because Kevin Feige seems to be suggesting that, or pretty much flat out saying that Stan Lee is Uatu, the Watcher.
Nice.
And I saw that today and was just really happy that he just confirmed that rumor. He's like, yeah, sure, we've talked about that. Yeah, he's the Watcher. And
Kevin Feige did?
Yeah, and apparently Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 apparently has like some sort of a bit where we see him talking to the Watchers. And that's awesome. I don't know. But that would be that's phenomenal if that's true. And like I said, I love a lot of the Marvel stuff. I've been staying out. Like I would do it though.
I've been staying out of all the Guardians 2 news. But one thing that I've heard, and don't tell me if you know, Sly Stallone is in it, playing someone, and apparently based on some of the talk, Sly Stallone's character was like a real standout. Apparently he's not in it much, but like his scene is like super great in Guardians 2.
I've heard that is true, and I've heard that he's going to be in a bunch of movies, but I don't know who he's playing. Or
I've heard that whoever he came out and played, they were like it left the impression that we'd see him again or whatever. And that sounds exciting because I love Sly. Yeah. Wouldn't that be really cool? Well, man, we have talked for a really long time.
We have,
and I think we talked about some DC news in there somewhere. So hopefully we fulfilled our purpose of this podcast.
Importantly, my bladder doesn't care either way. So.
Yeah, that's true. So thank you very much for having me on the cast, my friend. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for doing it, man. Thank you for coming and filling in at short notice. Jason just randomly got like really sick and started throwing up tonight, and I called Matt up. I was like, "Hey, man."
And you were talking about getting the other stuff done. I can help out with Gotham if you want. If you want help on the Gotham cast, I can jump in on that one. I didn't think about it, but I am up to date on that one.
Yeah.
So let me know.
Well, we'll do some. Well, yeah. I've got Bethany coming in to do the DCTV stuff. Cool. So, but yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about Gotham, though.
That's true. We did talk a little bit about it. Yep, I'm loving Gotham. I think it's great. Friggin' Batman saying "I will not kill," really, really got me going. That was 2 weeks ago, but man.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm enjoying it for what it's doing right now. I'm a little worried because the promo for the season showed Selena falling and like laying on the ground with cats coming around her. So I'm a little worried they're going to do the Batman Returns origin.
That's so stupid.
It's like the thing that I hated the most about Batman Returns they're going to do.
That's funny because they haven't done that many completely. I doubt that's what they're going to do. If anything, it'll probably. I mean, Catwoman doesn't really have powers.
Right.
In the comics.
I mean, no, she doesn't at all. No. She doesn't have 9 lives.
Yeah, that's just from Batman Returns, right?
You know, it's messed up when you look at a movie and go, this is less realistic than the comic book.
Oh, yeah. It's funny that Tim Burton did that. Like, he took the Penguin and Catwoman, two of the more grounded villains.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know what these need?
A gangster and a gun smuggler and, you know, a jewel thief, and he turned them into, like, supernatural and or freak show, like, versions of themselves.
Yeah, that's a really strange choice, Tim Burton.
Yeah, it is.
Real weird. Oh, man.
Anyway,
man. Well, thanks
Dude,
again. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for doing it, man.
Absolutely.
We are DC on Screen. Jason will be back. Well, sometime. Probably during the reviews. Hopefully, unless something really bad happens. Gosh.
God, you went dark there, Dave.
I know, but I don't want to promise a thing and I don't know the future.
I think people would forgive the promise if Jason died.
Well, I wasn't thinking about death, you dark bastard.
What you just said. Hopefully he'll be back unless something really horrible happens.
Yeah, I was thinking about, like he got a flu or something,
Oh, you just...
I don't know. Maybe the virus lasts another week. I don't know. But look, he should be back for the review episodes, for the new shows. You can find every new episode on DCOnScreen.com, and it's all free. We don't do that premium crap like Mark Maron, even though I love Mark Maron. Please have us on your show, Mark. And we're big comedy fans. You can you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at DC On Screen, one word. Email us at dconscreen@gmail.com. Or you can catch up with us with a voicemail, 205-259-6331, to leave us a voicemail, and we'll play it on the show, and we'll even respond to it. We won't just play it. We'll actually talk about it.
Yeah. Two-way conversation, people.
Good.
Two-way conversation.
Yeah. We do the fan interaction, and we won't even be mean unless, you're really dumb.
What's that number? What's that number again? I'm writing it down.
Oh, okay, it's 205-259-6331. You should call in, Matt. You should call in and give us a rant about a thing.
Oh, I'll just call in and really provide the con to your pro every once in a while.
Yeah. You just have Jeff call in.
Oh,
you can have Jeff call in and be like, "D's nuts," and hang up.
D's nuts. All right. That's what I encourage all the listeners to do this week. Call that number and just say D's nuts. What's that number again that they should call and say D's nuts?
They can rewind.
Okay, guys, hit the 30-second back button. Write down the number, and I want to hear as many D's nuts next week as we can get. just to prove that you listened all the way to the 2.5 hour mark here.
Alrighty. So it's also in the show notes if you guys really want to do that. And again, thank you, Matt Carroll of the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. Also of the Giant Size Team Up Network, as we are, GiantSizeTeamUp.com for all those awesome shows over there, panel by panel, Breaking the Panel, and Booze and Phasers, and the Blazing Defender Report, and gosh, it seems like they keep putting more shows on there. The Pokemon Go podcast, they keep doing stuff.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, and we're a part of that. We know those guys.
Giant Size!
We actually are so... We are, like, the DC on Screen podcast, though, is like, we were actually so busy with other stuff, we never actually, with actually just producing our show, we never actually get a chance to do anything with the network.
I know, same.
I feel a little bad about that.
Lately, we haven't even, we did so many episodes for Iron Fist a few weeks ago, and then we haven't even done our weekly episode these last 2 weeks because we've been so bogged down. Jeff is buying a house right now. And he's in the middle of that process, and I'm making an album, and so we've just been like a little behind on our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but we'll definitely be back this week with our Guardians of the Galaxy 2 review. We're very excited about that.
Absolutely, and we'll probably have a Guardians of the Galaxy 2 review too.
Yeah.
Albeit it'll be a post-credit stinger because we put DC first here.
We don't.
Don't laugh at that.
Have a good one, Dave.
Have a good one, Matt. Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely.
You guys keep some DC on your screen, and I'll be right back with another episode, a DC TV episode.
Woo!
Love you guys. Kisses, y'all.
Gross.